I've been going back and listening to albums I missed over the years because of how Limp Bizkit reawakened a love of albumic music in me.
Track order.
Is that a phrase, Niamh? Albumic?
Yeah, I'm going to say it is.
Cool.
What albums have you been listening to?
I went back and I listened to Nirvana's Nevermind.
Have you never listened to it?
Never listened to it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's the album with the naked baby on it, and he's trying to chase a dollar underwater. It's pretty good. It's a metaphor.
And let me tell you, that album that changed music that everyone likes, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Listen to the Beatles' White Album. Not a fan. Not going to say anything more about that.
Okay.
So I've just been kind of catching up with everything, and now I'm kind of in the early 2000s. And let me tell you, this young Kanye West fella, he is really talented.
I'm sure he's lots of potential.
Is he still... How's that whole situation worked out?
He's into stop motion animation right now.
Yeah,
people don't like it.
He's very
that
angry.
Sounds creative.
He's very angry at his ex-wife's current boyfriend in stop motion animation, I think. Is it?
Well, at least he found a healthy outlet. Oh.
So what you're saying, John, is you put the bum in album.
I don't know if I said that, Bryan.
I did.
Did I?
I said
Niamh?
that.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, well, if I stand by it if I said it. Welcome to the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast. The world's strongest video game podcast. I am sitting here with two of the most video gamist okay, I feel like this is going to be a weird episode.
Oh, it is.
You guys, I just feel like there's a kind of energy. You know the way like when you're like hosting a podcast or doing stuff, you always have kind of like a mental train track you're building in front of you about where the conversation's going. Mine just keep getting real existential.
Good, that's what I like.
Yeah, okay. Like, what are we doing?
No idea.
Yeah.
I may or may not have been lying on the floor half an hour ago. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. It's just weird times. To my left. They call him the Brick-a-Bracker. It's Bryan.
I made it with my hands.
To my right, they call her the Elden Sting. It's Niamh.
Titbits. Bric-a-brac titbits.
Pretty good. But also Sting has like titty bits.
Yeah.
Who are you?
With you always, I am your host.
The junk drawer.
The junk drawer. It's the junk drawer! How's it going, everybody?
What are we gonna find today? Let's dip our hands in. Is it gonna be squishy? Is it gonna
It's
be
an old porno mag! Whoa!
Don't let Mom find out. Or do.
Then send her around to my house and you press the voice box, press one of the noises like... Yeah, I don't know what it is, if it's the current state of the world or just in general, but wow, being alive's sure weird.
Progress is variable.
Yeah, kind of like you have to do it in some way. It's
running on a treadmill to nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to see it through, whatever the outcome is. Doubtful, but you know.
Yeah, it's like Jerry from the Tom and Jerry cartoon said once. Every day is exactly the same.
What?
That's not, from Nine Inch Nails.
That's Trent Reznor.
I'm pretty sure it's Jerry Niamh.
There is no love here. There is no pain. Every day is exactly.
Yeah. And then Tom was like, "You want to fuck me like an animal?"
You
I know my cartoons,
yeah,
Niamh.
it's coming back to me now.
Did you guys ever watch the Tom and Jerry movie that came out in the early 90s where they actually talk?
Oh yeah, and it broke my brain.
And yeah, and like I think Tom is voiced by Richard Kind, who I know as he's in Spin City and he's Larry David's cousin. But like he's just like a very Jewish guy, and he voices Tom, I think, and between him and Jerry, they're just like, how come you never spoke? And it's like, well, you never asked me to.
Yeah, and then they get on.
Yeah, they do. And
that's a metaphor, Niamh.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
The only Tom and Jerry video I had as a kid was the one where Tom dies and he's trying to go to heaven, but he has to fulfill a whole bunch of things. And it was really like there's a golden escalator to heaven and they won't let him in, and there's a timer. It was really stressful.
So like, does he fulfill the wishes and get to go to heaven?
I think so, but it's like kind of like it's down to Jerry, I think, to like do this one. Like he needs Jerry's forgiveness. That's
fucked
it.
up. I feel like if I was put myself in that scenario, you'd be my Jerry, Niamh.
Was Jerry a boy or a girl mouse?
I don't think it matters.
Niamh is right. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I think,
because
you see, he had like a more female mouse.
Yeah, but then Jerry could be a lesbian.
Yeah, that's it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard. It was. I think it was a boy in the movie. I don't know. I feel we just lost 8% of our audience.
Oh yeah, there's some people.
Good fucking riddance, I say.
They're going to be like, "How dare you?" Well, yep. How dare we indeed?
Yeah.
We dared, and it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think being a young Catholic and watching a cat desperately race against the clock trying to get into a heaven was terrifying. I need to find that VHS. This is reawakened.
I really want to go back
Something.
and like rewatch some old Tom and Jerry, because I remember them being amazing, and I have this memory of the background paintings being like unfucking believable
they are.
in some of the episodes.
I can remember Jerry's design was more or less always locked down, but in some of the, like, I think it's like in the first year or two, Tom's design was more detailed.
Yeah, I used
and he
to
looked more sinister, but then they kind of had to make him friendlier.
Yeah, because I had some tapes, and like depending on the tape, he would look totally different.
He'd have really sharp teeth.
Yeah.
And he looked like an actual beast.
There was a witch in that show that used to scare the shit out of me. She was like the kind of... She was really similar to, like, you know, the Warner Brothers witch?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, just very frightening stuff altogether. What's the giant red dude, Bryan? The giant red dude, and he looks like the Thing, except he's muscly with 2 eyes.
Gossamer.
Gossamer.
I
What's
think
he from? He's from
Looney Tunes as well, yeah. I think he lives in a castle.
Was there ever any, like, kids show shit you saw when you were a kid that really scared you?
That Tom and Jerry, and I used to think Shredder was really scary, and
Shredder was very upsetting.
then I went back and rewatched some Turtles, and Shredder's like slipping on a banana peel and being like, "Whoa, I'll get you, Turtles!" And I was like, "How?"
The first episode of Turtles, when Krang is on this like weird bipedal chicken leg thing.
He'd wear that from time to time.
Yeah, that used to upset me for some reason, because I think it was at like...
It is kind of a lot to think about, because it is a brain riding a machine, and that's what you are, man.
Because like Krang's other form, you know, his like more default form where he's in the big giant...
Yeah, when he gets dressed up.
Yeah, and
His
he's
human suit.
Yeah, he's in a cool human mech suit with sunglasses. That to me kind of looked endearing and friendly, but when he was in the bipedal thing, I think it was because he was at a lower height. He was like 3 feet high. I was like, that's my height, and he could hit me. Whereas I think when he was bigger, I was like, well, he's going to ignore me because I'm too small.
I have this really vivid memory of like, there was this cartoon that used to play when we were kids, and it was about snowmen, little cute snowmen. Do either of you guys remember this?
Bully?
I think it was Bully.
I think it was French-Canadian.
Yeah. That's a really cute show, and I'm 95% sure that there's one episode where they go to hell.
But they'll melt.
They some of them do. There's a bit where they ride a train and the train goes into the tunnel and then the tunnel keeps going down, and it's fucking weird. It's like that. Did you ever see that episode of the Turtles, actually? Leonardo's Nightmare?
I don't remember that one.
Leonardo has, and I have not been able to track it down, Leonardo has a nightmare where all the other turtles die, and the way they die are really fucking weird because they couldn't show them dying. So I don't remember what happens, Raphael. Donatello gets trapped in a bubble and floats into the Earth's atmosphere.
That is terrifying.
Michelangelo sees a giant pizza and he goes over to get it, but when he does, like, the slice he's on falls down into infinity. It's fucked up. And then Leonardo...
But he wants that pizza.
Leonardo's like, wakes up and he goes, well, I'm not a leader anymore. And he goes and he fights an Eskimo. Did someone please tell me if this is real or not? If any of this is real.
Some of those cartoons were a fever dream.
Yeah.
There were so many. I'm sorry now to keep going on.
We don't actually have that much to talk about,
Yeah, fuck
so
it.
let's just fuck it. You know what? Episode format, gone.
Yeah.
News section, out of here. Loot drop, no thank you. Patreon shoutouts, legally obligated to do that one.
Yeah, sorry. Not sorry. Post Jurassic Park, the animated dinosaur troop television shows you would get.
Oh, there were so many of them.
And you get different variations. Like, you would get, like, action figure versions of it, of dinosaur shows. But then you would get, like, the preschool shows. And there was one called Dino Babies. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
And with that, I think it was made by the same studio that made Arthur, or had some of the same kind of like creative DNA as Arthur. But it was about a group of dinosaur babies, but all they would do was make believe and dress up. So it was just dinosaur babies doing like costumes, but they would do period costumes from our past, but their future. So they would do like Shakespeare, but I'd be like, dude, for them that's like really, really advanced shit, man. Or they do like Robin Hood or something. You'd be like, that's so fucking sophisticated for a dinosaur. Like, not for us humans, obviously, but like for a dinosaur.
For a dinosaur, that's incredible.
Yeah, like, and they would go into like houses and stuff, and you'd be like, that's fucked up.
Yeah. I guess science doesn't know everything.
No.
I remember the dinosaur show about... It was dinosaurs who all had superpowers, but their superpowers was office equipment.
How?
So, okay.
Oh, yeah, I think one was like a stapler.
Yeah, one of them was a stapler.
What?
Yeah.
And one was like a paper
How do I
think
even
the-
search
I think
this?
the pterodactyl was a stapler. And yeah, one of them was like, had sticky tape. And I just remember him clinging to the side of a cliff with lava under him, like taping up a cliff. That was pretty great.
So like for me, these shows, to me, they're like this infinite show, but they would only ever make like 13 episodes, and then it would just get bailed on.
It's crazy when you think back to those shows like you loved when you were a kid, and you were like, man, I watched so many episodes of that. And then you go back and it's like limited 6-episode run.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Like, to me, Bots Master, there's like 5,000 episodes of Bots Master.
How many is there?
I'm going to say between 26 and 52.
That's fucking crazy.
Let's see. The Bots Master, 1993. Yeah, this appears to be a French-Canadian show as well. 40 episodes. And a lot of these shows, they would end and they would have Deke at the end.
Yep.
And that's how you knew. That's some quality shit.
Yeah, I remember the Den always used to play like the best shit at like 5 p.m. That's when you got like your Animaniacs, your kind of all that kind of stuff. And you had to wade through so much bullshit to get there, because like when you got home they were playing all the kiddie shit, but then like, you know, then you'd get like your Earthworm Jims and all that kind of stuff. Granted, that really fucking sucks, but yeah. And my mom would always pick me up at 5, and I'd be like, God damn it, because by the time we got home it'd be over. It's a really good story, isn't it, Niamh?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Did you guys watch Babar?
Yeah.
I thought Babar was a punk.
Oh, it was so sad, though.
It was very sad.
I liked the rhino, the neighboring kingdom. He seemed like he knew how to get shit.
So, like, I like, to me, I found it interesting that Babar, when he's an adult and he's in his and he's now in his world of privilege, and he has his family, and he's telling him tales from his childhood. But then as a child, he was like bollock naked, like telling me about the elephant, and I was like, man, he really didn't have anything, did he? Not even pants. Got the trunk out and all.
Yeah. Guys, I watched The Mask. Jim Carrey's The Mask.
Not the second one with Jamie Kennedy, son of The Mask.
Jamie Kennedy was in the second one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
And apparently they pitched it to him like, you're going to be the next Jim Carrey. This is going to make us millions. And he was like, oh, okay.
Jamie Kennedy did an E3 thing before, didn't he?
He did.
It was one of the worst things ever.
The worst thing he ever did was he hosted a New Year's live show, and Macy Gray performed at it, and it was just considered the most like technically hiccuped event ever produced.
Who was Jamie Kennedy? Was he a comedian or something?
He was a comedian. He's in Romeo plus Juliet, and he's in
What?
Scream.
Who?
He's the guy with the pink hair in Romeo plus Juliet.
No, he's not.
He
I
is.
guess your perfect film ain't so perfect anymore.
He is!
So
He is.
so
That's nuts.
he had like the best year in like circa 95, 96, where he was in Romeo plus Juliet. I'm going to say plus every time I say the name of this film.
No, that's right.
Yeah, and he was in Scream, and his character in Scream was like the meta character, and he was really important to that film. Like,
Yeah.
he was part of like what made that film so interesting in some ways.
So he was in some bangers.
Yeah, he was.
And then what happened?
The 2000s happened. And now it's 22 years later. Sorry, John the Mask.
Oh, sorry, I was so entranced. Yeah. Okay. Who's the girl in the mask, Bryan?
Cameron Diaz.
Diaz.
Who is now officially retired.
Yeah.
She retired like 15 years ago. She was like, I don't need to do this anymore.
Good
And,
for her.
Like, fair enough.
Because this is like a pretty good movie, and her and Jim Carrey elevate it so much. They are both fantastic in it.
Oh, yeah.
The big thing about The Mask at the time was it was one of the first films to really, really use like a lot of computer effects on like in like a really obvious way. If you don't know, the story is that Jim Carrey is a loser.
Called Stanley Ipkiss.
Stanley Ipkiss.
It's a great name.
Yep, and he finds a magical mask that turns him into a boisterous, Tex Avery-esque cartoon character
Who has no ears and a green head.
who has no ears and a green head.
And is wearing a zoot suit that is bright yellow.
Yeah,
With a feather in the hat.
You know what? It's a fucking great design.
It's so good.
So good.
Very loud tie.
I think this movie holds up pretty good.
Really?
Like,
I haven't watched it in years.
There's
I watch this movie every 5 years. I love it.
like, it's one of those movies where you think back and you're like, I bet there's some really weird, off, problematic
Like Ace
joke.
Ventura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Ace
Yeah.
Ventura is not a nice one to go back to. Me and Michelle went back to that like I think a year or two ago.
It's a bummer.
Ooh.
That's one of the few films where the sequel, When Nature Calls, is a better film.
Yeah.
It's got that bit where he comes out of the rhino's bottom. And it's really funny.
That was a bit too PG-13 for me when I was 14.
I
Was
saw
not
that,
ready for that.
I saw that in the cinema sitting next to my mother.
Whoa.
We were hooting and hawing and hollering, I dare say.
But yeah, no, this is like a pretty fun movie. It's like 90 minutes. It moves along at a good pace, and it's just good. The most shocking thing about it is the CG. The CG looks great. Like, it holds up really well. I don't understand how, because everything else from that era looks like shit. Actually, I do kind of understand how. I think a lot of really talented people worked on it for a really long time, because like it's a lot of it is like 3D trying to imitate like 2D animation principles, but like doing it really, really well. So maybe if like even some of the texturing looks kind of weird, or some of the motion blurs too much, the actual animation, the like mechanics,
The acting
happening
of it is
underneath
really solid.
looks fantastic.
Yeah, and no, it's definitely like animators who love the craft of animation. I think because he's Tex Avery style, it's inspired by that, and like
Yeah.
it's even got the bit where he's watching Red Hot Riding Hood
Yeah.
on TV in his apartment. So like it's not even like subtle,
Yeah,
but it comes from a place of love.
totally. And I was really surprised by how much I kind of still enjoyed it. I kind of wonder, like, the generation below us, like we'll say Zoomers, we'll say the majority of our audience, unfortunately, just only unfortunate because that makes us feel old. Do they have any concept what this movie is? Because I've never seen a video. Actually, I've seen a Ryan Hollinger video on it, but I've never seen like it's not a movie people talk about. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
and like it is one of Jim Carrey's like best movies from peak Jim Carrey
Totally.
era.
Yeah.
Because he had a great year as well in like 1994, 95. Because he did Dumb and Dumber as well around that time. Fucking nuts.
If you were 25 or younger, how do you feel about The Mask?
Give us your full take.
Okay, so when this movie came out in the cinema, I was too scared to see it. But the problem was, I was really looking forward to it, and I remember seeing trailers for it, and I was so excited. When it came to the day that we were going to go see it, I chickened out, and my sister went, but I didn't go.
Why'd you chicken out, Bryan?
Because I was like, what if it's really scary?
But okay,
That's Jumanji.
I remember.
Jumanji's so fucking
That's-
upsetting.
Yeah, that's
That's
a really
scary.
frightening movie.
Oh my god.
But I remember going into the mask and being worried it was going to be scary. I think just because it's very visually intense. Like, his face does some crazy fucking things.
And the film borrows heavily from, like, neo-noir.
Yep.
Like, because like, it mostly takes place at night. It has, like, a femme fatale character.
Mm-hmm.
It does kind of have a weird mystery crime organ. Like, it borrows bits and pieces from that genre.
Betrayed by a woman.
Yeah.
And that's a weird bit in it. It's like a woman betrays him and disappears from the movie, and like she never gets comeuppance or anything.
Good.
Women should be allowed to do what they want.
Yeah, let them commit crimes. I think I thought he was kind of hot.
He is. He's hot.
Yeah, no, Jim Carrey he's an attractive man.
No, not Jim Carrey, The Mask, John.
So for me, it's the giant teeth.
Mask.
I really, really like the giant teeth.
Yeah, they're good.
And when he opens up his mouth is extra pink because of the contrast of his green skin on his head. It's just really interesting color
His
palette.
style is just very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one great bit where he's like dying in the arms of a goon, and he really sells it. And there's a bit where he's like coughing into the guy's face. And I remember that being like, that's so rude. But I guess like post-COVID or presently COVID, it's probably very triggering.
I get that all the time with older stuff on TV now, like jokes about coughing and stuff. I'm like,
You can't do that.
no, you can't do that. There is one bit where as Stanley Ipkiss, he goes to a garage and they overcharge him, and then as the Mask, he returns to that garage and shoves giant metal poles up their ass.
Yeah. Take that.
And I felt like that was maybe... Michelle disagreed, which I was surprised about, but I was like, I don't think he should have done that. And Michelle was like, oh, that's what they get. She's tough but fair.
They fuck with the Mask.
Niamh.
Why? Yeah, okay.
Bryan.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Jackasses.
Jackass Forever. This is the 4th Jackass feature film. This came out back in February, and it was delayed originally from October last year, because the team behind it said they want people to see this in the cinema, please, because it is a audience movie. Saw this in the cinema. It's absolutely an audience movie.
Yep. We went together and some children snuck in.
Okay.
Like some 14-year-olds or like 12-year-olds.
Okay, so like this is such a Jackass thing that like this movie is not for kids. This is an adult movie because it's grown men and women hurting themselves.
It opened on a penis, and I said to Bryan, that's a penis.
And I was like, no, it's not. But then they actually zoomed out and explained it was a penis. They do like a kaiju opening, but they use like trick photography to paint a penis green and make it look like Godzilla. And then they switch between like people in a pretend city, and then at the end they bring out a snapping turtle, but the snapping turtle is meant to look like a kaiju, but really it's the scale of Chris Pontius's penis, and it bites him on the ding dong. It's pretty funny. Okay, so several times throughout this film, they will open up their sketch, and it is a grown man naked in a garden with some of his friends off to the side, and then to the other side, professionals such as like beekeepers or some sort of like some sort of handler of dangerous animals. And the 14-year-olds behind us it fucked them up. They just left.
Yeah, they left straight away.
Whoa.
Yeah, because they were there and they were kind of noisy, and Bryan was like, we can move, because they were directly behind us. And I was just like, this kind of feels right for a Jackass movie, just to have a whole pile of brats sneak in. Like, I feel like they should be here. It feels right. But then they saw their first penis and they left.
No, thank you.
Yeah, they were like, whoa, too much.
Did they like comment on it?
They just kind of went, oh guys, I think we should leave.
Was it a bunch of guys?
Yeah, they got nervous.
What if they get the gay?
Yep.
You can catch it that way.
It's true.
It's a very homoerotic film.
Yeah, that snapping turtle was in love.
There's a lot of like I really like the male energy in this film. It's very it comes from a good place.
Yeah.
It's happy.
A lot of male bodies slapping around, and I was just like, is this positive masculinity ?
Absolutely is. I know it is. They filmed all of this during COVID, and that was super interesting because one of the main aspects of Jackass is man on the street pranks. And there's maybe like 2 or 3 of these in this film. Most of the pranks are on the crew behind the scenes, and that is super interesting because like it seems like when you're filming Jackass, all bets are off in regards to, you know, your clothes, your body hair, anything. Like, you are going to get tased at 3 o'clock in the morning, and all you can do is just laugh, because the thing is, the following night, you can just do it back to the person who tased you. Like, it's this strange, like, environment where everyone can fuck with each other, and it's completely okay. Mm-hmm. I read up on the, like, making of $1 million of this budget was on COVID testing only.
That's nuts.
And
$1 million?
Yeah. Whoa. And I know with these films, they take health and safety incredibly seriously, and you could see it in certain bits, like that bit where Johnny Knoxville fucked around with the bull.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Did we get the bit?" And they're like, "Yeah, Johnny, we did." He did like a 360 in the air and just like landed on his neck.
At the end, they put it next to the time he did it first, when he was like in his, I guess, late 20s, early 30s maybe.
Yeah.
And how he just got up right afterwards, just got up and walked away. And this time he did it, and he had to leave in a stretcher and went to the hospital afterwards.
But like, these dudes are having so much fun because like they don't get to do this anymore, and they don't see each other anymore. But they're all like, it's them picking up where they left off. And there's bits where like they just get too giddy and excited. Like, one guy accidentally shits himself.
Whoa.
And like they have to stop the bit and then just like point the cameras on him, and then point the camera on the guy who always throws up. I really like how there's two cameramen. I think it's like Lance is one of them, and then the other guy is Rick, but they've been with the like show since the early 2000s as well, and so they're kind of like so to them, they're in on the bullshit as well.
It had hit this really good level of being like, you know, a super nostalgia piece where you see these people who, like, we grew up with back doing it again, and their bodies are older and they can break easier, so they're not doing the same level of stunts, but they're also doing a lot of, like, I thought maybe they weren't going to do as crazy things, but they still did.
Oh, yeah,
like,
no, they
it was
did.
insane.
That bit with the wedgie.
Yeah. But they got hurt more, and you know, you could feel that from them, and they're all in different points in their life, and like Steve-O has fake teeth now, and like
that, like, something about that sounds kind of great. Like,
yeah.
Oh, it's
like,
so
like
good.
Kind of, like, not to read too much into the Jackass movie, but like kind of challenging in a weird way, because it's like, oh, this
For
is
sure.
really like time has passed.
Yeah, for sure.
But then among the crew, there's about 5 or 6 new members, and they're kind of introduced as the next generation. And each member of that kind of like new wave are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Jasper who's part of Tyler the Creator's crew. He's his hype man. So it's him, his dad, Dark Shark, who used to be a gangbanger in the 90s. Like, this dude was Boys in the Hood.
Okay.
Like, he was in prison, he was shot at. Like, this guy was an actual gangster, and like, he doesn't fuck with anyone, and nobody fucks with him, but he's really scared of insects. Oh, okay, and then there's like a new like heavy guy called Zach. He's fucking brilliant. There's a girl called Rachel, and she, holy shit, she does some stuff.
Was Rachel good, Niamh?
Rachel was good. I think Rachel suffers from being the only girl in the crew, so there's a
Yeah.
lot of pressure on Rachel. But there's a really good moment of consent in it that was just
Oh, yeah.
very good. A scorpion lands on her boob, and she's like, "Take it off my boob!" And then they're like, "Well, you have to say you give us consent." And it was just very
Oh, that's great.
But
That's
like,
so good.
she keeps getting Botox in her lips from a fucking scorpion sting.
yeah.
Okay, but so there's this one like sketch in the movie, and it's probably my favorite sketch, where it's just called the Mime Challenge, and there's 3 of them dressed up as mimes. Zach and Rachel, or sorry, Poopies.
Yeah, boobies.
There's a new guy called Poopies, and he's called Poopies because he shit himself when he was a kid, and that's his nickname. A lot of people shitting themselves. It's okay, John. You like it.
Wait, what?
It's okay.
So Poopies and Rachel, and then Steve-O, who's one of the original, they're all dressed as mimes, and they each have to do like a really painful thing, and if they make a peep, they're out of the game. So Rachel has to make out with a taser, and she fucking does it, doesn't make a single noise.
What the fuck?
Poopy has to intimidate a snake and get bitten on the nose. And he fucking does it, takes it like a champ, doesn't make any noise. Then Steve-O has to do the skateboard guillotine. And what we do is, it's a guillotine, but with the side of a board. and he has to go into a guillotine with his shins exposed. So his legs go in with his shins exposed, and he kind of gestures like raise it up as high as he can, and it drops down, and you hear, and they're like, "You're out." But then right after, like, Johnny comes out and gives him a big hug, and there's just this really endearing smile from Steve-O, like, he's like, I fucking did it anyway. And, like, a skateboard to the shins must be one of the most fucking painful things. Like, ow.
Wow.
And, like, there was one bit, and I think Jasper says it, he's like, I wouldn't even know to Google this. Like, I wouldn't know this exists. And then Rachel's like, Chris, you're never going to be the president of America because you did this. He gets what is essentially like something that you would press a flower in, where it's 2 sheets of Perspex and a clamp. But he puts his peen in there.
No.
And John, he flattens it all the way. And then he gets a rubber ball and a string and does a paddle ball with it.
I didn't know they could do that.
And they're like, Chris, does it hurt? And he's like, doesn't feel like anything.
I know penises are like shockingly resilient, but I never want to find out how much, you know.
But then later on in the movie, he like brings in his baby because his wife and him have had a kid recently, and they're like, check out my kid. So you're like, okay, I guess, you know, he's doing all right.
Good for them
down there. The bit with Jasper's dad, Dark Shark, where so Dark Shark and then Aaron McGee, he's one of the original guys, and Aaron McGee was always the punching bag. He still is the punching bag, and like he's proved himself true and true, because his whole thing was that he used to wear a helmet and he was called Danger Aaron, and people used to rag at him for kind of being like the safety guy.
Yeah, he used to do like the toll fairy stuff.
Yeah.
But like now he's probably the most like crash test dummy out of them.
Yeah, out of this whole movie, I think he does a lot of the most painful stunts in it, to the point that if he wasn't in it, there'd either be a lot of missing content or it just wouldn't be Jackass nearly.
Absolutely.
Like, he does a lot of it. He takes a lot of nut shots.
That bit with the bear as well, and the honey and the...
my God.
Okay, so like...
And the salmon.
Okay, sorry, I'll get back to the Dark Shark thing. It's like, okay, there are multiple times in this where like they will set up like the scenario that the person has to do the stunt in, but it's actually a front and it's a trick, and then they're actually tied up and the situation they're in is far worse. So there's one where Aaron is tied up to a lie detector that like electrocutes him. That's not what it is at all. They take away all of that stuff. They bring out a bear and pour salmon and honey on him, and they're like, there you go.
The bear is just eating salmon off his crotch.
Is that not like... Would that bear not might have killed him?
Yeah, they got the handler in there pretty quickly. Once he ate the salmon and started to kind of nose at his hand, he was just like, guys...
I really, really love the handler they have this time, because they usually had a guy called Manny Puig, but apparently he's really, really sick with COVID for like a year and a half now. He's not like recovered from it, so he's not part of this, but they have a different handler, and his apathy to the whole thing, where they're like, is this safe? And he's like, and he's like holding on to like a vulture or something.
One of them asks if a snake is poisonous, and he just does the hand thing, kind of.
It's poisonous.
Okay, so there's this one bit where Aaron and Dark Shark are both sitting in chairs, and they're duct taped to the chairs, and they each have a fishbowl contraption on their head with a pipe in between, and they put a tarantula in the middle, and both of them have to blow at the tarantula so that it goes into the other guy's like headspace bubble. And Dark Shark is deathly frightened of insects, and as it creeps and crawls closer to him, he activates like, I don't know, like full on dad mode, and he rips free of the constraints of the duct tape and grabs one hand onto Johnny Knoxville and the other hand onto the like animal handler, and he's like, get away from me.
Yeah, and they're like, let go, because he's just like a death grip on this guy's shirt, and they were like, we can't help you unless you let go.
And Jasper has to like calm his dad down, and he's like, I don't like this. And I think Jasper's like, I can't believe I came out of your penis. Like, so he says something like, there's some very funny remarks to each other.
I have a family wedding next week. I'm gonna save that for that. It
was great. It was as brutal as a day ever wore. There was like they went down the slip and slide like with a whole pile of water and goo, so it was really like they would fly, and you think, oh, they'll land in water. No, just the earth, just rocks. Just they will land in rocks at high speed.
There's one bit where they use themselves as like stacked up bodies and then put plywood down, and it's the human ramp. And they get like the heaviest dudes and put them on like shitty little motorcycles and get them to try and see how high they can go in the air.
I'm so happy this sounds good and not like sad.
No,
because you know there's an alternate version of this film that's the saddest thing in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, like this is, they are in complete control of their consenting misery. They are having a blast.
Yeah.
And there was a vibe to it because it's even called Jackass Forever and has the heart in it. It kind of felt like you know, this is it kind of thing, you know, and hi guys and bye guys. And kind of passing over the torch to this new like crew as well. Like I don't know if they'll do anything with those guys or if they'll get a show or.
See, I was thinking about that because Spike Jonze is one of the directors on it. Because like the three creators are Jeff Tremaine, who's the main director. Spike Jonze is kind of like he does like some of the set pieces and stuff. But like Spike Jonze owns part of Vice, and like Vice is kind of like the new MTV in terms of like their content, I guess. Because, like, I'm not sure if this was an MTV movie or not. I think it said MTV at the beginning. Like, I'm sure they had to...
Maybe. I can't remember.
I've not thought about MTV in years. And I used to watch so much MTV in the, like, early 2000s.
Oh, but when it was that cultural thing, like, that was kind of special.
Yeah.
You know, like, that was real... Like, whatever that channel turned into, there was a point when it, like, just embodied teenage energy in the greatest way.
I used to love Pimp My Ride, Room Raiders, all of that shit. So fucking good.
Yeah, man. Next
was fucking wild.
Next was great.
I still think about Missy Elliott's car bed from Cribs.
Oh, yeah. And she had, like, a flat screen TV, but it was still, like, really thick. Because it was, like, a weird early plasma TV.
I was just like, that's living.
Now we can all watch Johnny Knoxville in his WrestleMania match.
Oh yeah, he did that as a promo, didn't he?
He's going to be in a match at WrestleMania, I think is what they're going. There's rumors there that Vince McMahon was going to wrestle. 74-year-old Vince McMahon.
Watch a man die, I guess.
I don't fucking know. Speaking of wrestling, I watched AEW Revolution. We watched every AEW Revolution. I thought overall, pretty decent show.
Wrestle Talk. Is that how we do it? It's Wrestle Talk.
Carry on.
You can carry on.
You go, Niamh. People know what I think of wrestling.
We watched AEW Revolution. Jade fought Ty Conte, and Jade looked amazing. She came out looking like a Mortal Kombat character, and I was already pretty into her because she looked like Storm in her kind of promo picture. And that fight was great. She opened it by grabbing Ty Conte's little head and kissing her straight on the lips, and I punched the air.
Yeah, she did. That's not like some metaphor.
It's just like, hell yeah. So that fight was good. I really enjoyed Jade. She just looked really great.
She's getting better every single match. Like, I wasn't a big fan of her like 6 or 7 months ago, and every time I see her, I'm like, oh, she's improved again. So like, she's putting the work in.
That's good to hear. Because she has a lot of charisma as an outside person coming in. A lot of charisma. What else? What other fights did we see? Oh. You told me that Jungle Boy was Luke Perry's son.
Yeah.
I'm still not over that. That's nuts. Because now every
time... for a second there you were like, and then I looked it up, and no, he's not.
No, he absolutely is. But now that I look at Jungle Boy, it's his face. He looks exactly like Luke Perry. And I was just like, that's insane.
He's
Luke Perry
in the David Arquette documentary as well.
Is he Jungle Boy?
Yeah.
Jungle Boy drives David Arquette to the hospital after Nick Gage rips his throat open with some electrical tubing.
And Luke Perry's still alive because it's like a couple months before he passed away, but he's got his arm around David. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah,
that's wild. Him and Luchasaurus were in another tag match, and that was good. You're gonna have to help me out here in remembering what happened.
So we got we both agreed Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker just did not have it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't very engaged in that one.
Yeah, and like if you saw the free match they did, the death match, fucking incredible. But I think we were both pretty blown away by Hangman Page versus Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Those two guys are good wrestlers, but I feel like even from what you would expect of them, like this was close to midnight, me and Niamh were both sleepy, and we were like punching the air and like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm. I got Hangman after that. I was just like, okay, I get the charisma, I get what he's doing here.
Yeah. Because like it's weird because like I like Hangman a lot. I was really into his story. His match with Kenny Omega was a big disappointment for me because I just thought like there wasn't much of a story to that match out like in the match itself outside the Young Bucks. And like since then I feel like he's had a few title defenses and some of them were pretty good, but I'm still waiting for him to feel like a big deal. This match kind of cemented that for me. Like Adam Cole's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Adam Cole could put on an amazing match with like a bin bag, but the two of them together, I just felt like they had that chemistry you can't fake in wrestling. Mm-hmm. Like it's just, these two are just phenomenal together. And it was brilliant. It was really, really good. And I was really happy to see Hangman retain by the end. And there was a few, like, I think going into it, I was like, there's no way that Adam Cole is going to win this. And then, like, there was points in the match where I was so convinced he was. And then Adam Cole retained at the end and I was happy. So it kind of brought me on, like, the full spectrum. And it was just brilliant. It was a really good match. You missed it, Niamh, but
Eddie Kingston
and Jericho was the other match of the night for me. Eddie Kingston's just the best. Eddie Kingston's new gimmick is that he doesn't know wrestling is fake. And there's a bit where he was doing a promo with Jericho, and Jericho's like, he's there both in the middle of the ring with microphones, and Jericho's like, I see, you've really got yourself over as a babyface here. And Eddie Kingston's like, what's a babyface? And then the other big match was MJF versus CM Punk. And it was pretty good. It was fine.
Yeah, I expected it to be better. The idea of a collar match where two men are attached by a collar and a chain with MJF and CM Punk excites me. But how it played out, I wasn't as in love with it as I thought it would be.
It was kind of about what I expected. I thought it was decent, but like my mind wandered a couple of times as well.
Yeah.
I think MJF and CM Punk's best work is with a microphone.
Probably. I really like MJF and I like him in the ring. I thought, like, and this is just, I'm not a CM Punk fan, but I thought CM Punk cut himself way too early and way too deeply. So he was bleeding like from 3 seconds into that match and like just like spilling blood everywhere. And it didn't feel like earned blood. Like I couldn't tell you what MJF did to him to make him bleed because it was very obvious seeing CM Punk cut himself. And he just like he did it extremely deep.
Yeah. Oh, he was pumping blood that entire match. But like I thought you had a point with that because by the end of the match, the drama of the blood had just leveled out.
Yeah.
And you were just kind of used to seeing it. And I think blood should be a turning point in a match.
Same. Like I think that kind of happens toward the end when people are tired and people look fucked up and you're like, oh, he got really hurt and now he's bleeding. But it happens so early on that it kind of, the pacing of it was really strange. A bit of a disappointment because, as I said, dog collar fight with MJF sounds very good.
So, Ryan, these are two, you know CM Punk and MJF.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
He's written Shang-Chi.
He has.
Yeah, I've read some of it. He's good.
He's a good writer?
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
Because he knows how the fight choreography should work.
Yeah. Not the movie, the comic.
Yeah, the comic.
Okay, cool.
I really like the Shang-Chi movies, so I read a bunch of Shang-Chi comics.
Any good?
Yeah.
Cool.
There's ones in the 90s where he teams up with the X-Men.
So, CM Punk and MJF, I would say two guys who would not be like in the anime space a lot is the feeling I get from both of them. I don't think that they realized that a lot of the dog collar fan art people were doing of them were yaoi fan art, but they were both retweeting it.
Okay, so they didn't get the homo...
No.
The homoeroticism just slipped them right on by.
Oh dear. Well, do you know what? Maybe that's something they can discover themselves.
Yeah.
Like people on the internet do. You just you learn about yourself through fan art.
Yeah, it was a pretty good pay-per-view. It's always super fun watching it with Niamh. But yeah, it was pretty good. AEW is in an interesting spot. We're on the road to WrestleMania right now. WWE is a fucking mess, and people get so angry when you say that. Why are you defending something like this?
It's already spilt on the floor, bub.
And Roman Reigns, still fantastic. Still so many talented performers in that company. And still like the odd storyline that is going well, like the RK Bro. But man, that company's a bummer.
One other thing I liked, Mr. Regal coming out.
That was amazing. That match was decent. It was good. But William Regal coming out and shouting at his two bold sons was just... That was nearly a highlight of the night for me. Niamh.
Yes.
Tell us about the Batman. Niamh, not any old Batman here. I want to hear about the definitive article Batman.
Okay, so George Clooney.
He's got these nipples and he's got this credit card. And
Was George Clooney the nipple one?
Yeah.
Okay.
there was two Joel Schumacher movies, one with Val Kilmer, and then he was recast because Val Kilmer is very difficult apparently, and George Clooney took over, but it was more or less the same cast. Or
Who was Batman Returns?
Michael Keaton was Batman and Batman
There's
Returns.
been a lot of Batman, hasn't there?
Oh yeah,
There is, yeah.
this new one is Pats.
So I was really excited for this because I like the idea of like Robert Pattinson as Batman. I think something the Batman movies kind of get a little wrong in terms of their audience is they're not appealing to the hotness that Bruce Wayne maybe should have. Like he's sexy
I get you.
in a way.
Wayne, I feel like to have the charisma to be able to pull off that level of fear, you probably have a pretty good command of how you come across to people.
I think comics Batman and animated Batman has always made him seem a little hotter. But like movie Batman, he's never really got there. So I thought Pattinson in that role could do that dual role of like someone who can be scary in the suit, but also like be a hot little emo boy outside of it.
And be a billionaire playboy. You know, just have like... Yeah.
Make it believable, you know?
Just be a rich boy in a suit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess you use the word boy, and that's kind of interesting because Robert Pattinson still looks pretty young.
He's our age.
He's baby faced.
Yeah, he is.
And a lot of times when they get someone to play Batman or Bruce Wayne, it's like a man.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of interesting. Like I think it's cool they took it that way.
Me too. And I was really excited because of the casting and Zoe Kravitz as like Catwoman and like Colin Farrell as Penguin. Like,
and Paul Dano as the Riddler.
Yeah, like it's a really good and interesting cast. So when this movie started and it looks gorgeous, like it like Gotham is a city, and I was like, wow, a movie, because like it looks like a living, breathing space, and there's like shot composition, and it's like lit in a beautiful way, and it looks
and Gotham has like a town square.
Yeah, it has a feeling
that is shot several times with like crowds in it, or it's empty. It's a very believable world.
Yeah, you have an idea of that space and how it works and who's in there, and Gotham feels like a living, breathing city. Where like watch something like Uncharted and like we're going set piece to set piece and the tourism board has paid them to be in this place. But with this, I felt like a place, and that was really cool. And it's really cool coming from a comic book movie as well, which feels more disposable in their locations or more like a little fake in them. So I liked that about it instantly, is it kind of had a presence to it that you don't see. And the first hour of it is like really genuinely enjoyable.
Yeah,
like,
I love the first hour of this film.
Batman is a detective now, and he shows up to murders. How he gets in there is kind of like a little ropey. I don't really know if I buy the relationships he has in this movie.
Yeah, it seems like, because it's not Commissioner Gordon, it's still Detective Gordon, because he's only 2 years into the job as Batman, and he's recently established a relationship with Gordon, and Gordon is allowing him into crime scenes to look for clues that the professionals can't find.
Yeah. And like part of that makes it nearly like comedy-esque, where Batman is kind of like two professionals being like, look over there, or like check this thing out, or kind of like slowly like hinting at what they should be looking for. But it's all pretty obvious stuff. Like they know how to do their job, Bats. Just let him do it.
He's the world's greatest detective.
It's true.
He is. That's what it says.
For the first hour of it, I was really enjoying it, and I was really enjoying the tone. And then by the second hour, it becomes kind of a mobster movie, but one of the central mobsters that everyone is talking about and is kind of part of this mystery that like Batman is trying to solve is not in the movie. You never see a picture of him. He's just a name that everyone keeps mentioning.
Sal Salvatore something.
Salvatore or something like that. But like he's just like
he's like the previous mafia boss, and now John Turturro's character, who's Cal something or other, is in charge, and then the Penguin is his second in command, and they live out of a nightclub. Mm-hmm. But like, and like Thomas Wayne is shown throughout the movie in archival footage, and apparently there was, you know, a history with Thomas Wayne and the mafia, but this old mafia crime lord who was only mentioned verbally but never shown, not even on like a pin board as a picture. It's really misleading and confusing.
And like, I guess spoilers for all this section, but I will not try and spoil anything plot critical or anything like that. But like, my problem with this movie is it's a detective movie where the central mystery isn't that interesting and is ultimately quite, like, apart from the who is the Riddler, the kind of other central mystery about all these mafiosos, kind of doesn't need to be solved. It's like, there is corruption, and yeah. We figured it out. Good job. And Batman as a detective never figures out anything in time. It's like this, like, it's either Alfred figuring it out for him or he figures it out too late.
World's greatest detective, my ass.
Yeah, like twice in this movie they do a fake out where like you think something is happening in real time, but it's actually happened an hour, and they've just edited to look like it's back and forth happening. But then they do a catch up, and it's actually like, oh, this happened earlier on this evening, but now I'm here. Can you explain to me? And it's like someone's like telling you what happened.
So there's so many just scenes of people walking into the room and expositioning like all the time.
Yeah. So like Gordon's job in this film is to read out evidence and emails and like bad guys' journals and tell the audience that someone is dying on a recording of someone dying.
Yeah, that they play twice. We get it. She's being choked. No shit.
He's not very good in this film.
No, it's like, so like...
I like Gordon as a character. It sucks if he sucks.
Yeah. And he's played by Jeffrey Wright, and I love Jeffrey Wright.
It's not even that he sucks. It's like he's used as this device that kind of points to the weaknesses of the movie, where it's a detective film where the mystery isn't particularly interesting and involves people you don't really know and is ultimately just like, there is corruption. Okay. So it's like...
Not again.
Yeah, it's just like 3 hours? Do we need 3 hours for this?
And then the last hour is kind of Riddler stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I heard that the Riddler was like the bad guy in this one, I was like,
the Riddler?
How is he?
He's the Zodiac Killer. It's not even subtle. Like he's the Zodiac Killer. It's the Zodiac Killer logo, that crosshair, but with a question mark in it. At the beginning, you're teased by him, and that's really fun. And Paul Dano is having a great time. By the end, he's Kyle's cousin Kyle from South Park. Like Paul Dano is doing that voice.
Right.
Yeah. He's like, they try and have this like face off with him with Batman that kind of mirrors the like Heath Ledger versus Batman moment that they have in the prison, and it just does not work. It feels like they're having two separate conversations. Right. Like the tension was not there, at least for me.
Okay. Second question. Does Colin Farrell ride a giant mechanical rubber ducky toy?
No.
No,
So it's a bad movie, is what you're saying.
He drives a sports car, and he's definitely like a three-dimensional cartoon character. He's like, I didn't do nothing to that coil. Yeah. And like
here's Joe Slick.
I do really like his makeup. He looks really upsetting and unnerving, and I guess that's the point of the Penguin, because he's a disfigured man, that he doesn't look like a normal human should, I guess. And they have some nods to him being the Penguin. Like, he has a limp and a waddle, and there's a bit where his feet are tied up, and he has to like walk away with his feet still tied, so he has to walk like a penguin for that bit. But like, they're definitely, and like, this movie's out to be a trilogy, Niamh, is it?
I think so.
And
did you hear, just like literally as it's coming over, HBO has ordered a show based on the Penguin?
Okay, that makes sense.
Because the Penguin is in this, and like, he's good in this, but he's kind of his character. Again, spoilers.
There will be a timestamp in this.
Okay. He's not a plot critical character in it at all. Like, he doesn't really need to be there. Like, he's kind of like a little bit of a red herring, I guess. You kind of assume he might be important, but then it's just some other, like, mafia guys. That's kind of like something that I did kind of feel a little let down with it, is like Robert Pattinson's Batman is so kind of cartoony, and it's that cartoonier detective vibe, but then everyone else is just like, you know, like Colin Farrell's makeup is cool, but he's just like guy in suit.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't any fantasticalness to him at this stage.
Yeah.
So I was kind of a little bummed about that. And the bat gadgets, there wasn't a lot of bat gadgets, but he lives in a bat cave with literal bats. But he doesn't have that many bat gadgets.
He doesn't have Wayne Manor. He has Wayne Tower, I guess. It's just a giant high rise, but I guess he owns the entire building because he enters from like underground and gets an elevator all the way up to the top. It's got a really fun bit where like Batman has never like flown with his cape or like glided before, and there's a bit where he has to escape from the police because of an altercation and because they think that he's the culprit on a crime or something like that. I can't remember. But he has to go up to the top of the Gotham City police building and jump off, and he transforms his cape into like a flying squirrel suit. He like fills up the like, because like the cape is like double layered, so he inflates it and then he grabs onto it and flies down. But like, he's never done this before, and it's really fun how they film it because it's like a GoPro on Robert Pattinson's head, and they just like send him down, and like it looks really good. But he fucks up the landing and clips himself on a low hanging bridge and just like fucks himself onto the ground.
Oh, cool. So
he's greener.
How long has Batman been Batman?
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Okay, because I remember really liking that bit in Batman Begins where he tries to jump from one building to another and completely fucks it up.
Yeah, there's some kind of stuff in Batman Begins, I think, like, and just those movies get better with Batman. Like, in this, it shows, like, Batman gets shot, like, a lot, and, like, he gets hurt a lot, but there's never any of, like, him, like, having to heal those wounds.
Or pick shrapnel out of him. Like,
like maybe reconsider what happened.
Yeah, it's just, like, you never see the physical effects of that later on. Like, there's a lot of back shots of Robert Pattinson's, like, bare back, but it's, like, less of a look at the wounds and just more like look at his back. Like, it's kind of a little like, it's for the girls.
I'm a fan of the dude back. I'm gonna say for the girls and me. Niamh.
Yeah, for the girls and the boys.
I really wish there was a bit where Alfred or Bruce himself was just doing like a really shitty job of stitching himself.
Yeah, like stitching himself up, or like you know, I think in one of the other one, Christian Bale Batman movies, he has to kind of rehabilitate himself to walk and stuff, or like he's just even some bandages around his ribs. There's kind of more like physical consequence. So Batman in this kind of felt ultimately kind of greener and more vulnerable, but also more like invincible because he's getting shot and all the time, but his armor just deflects it and it's fine and it's okay.
There's one bit where like he's really hurt and he just takes like an EpiPen or something and just gives himself a boost, but it's just like magic green liquid.
Yeah, that was really fun.
It's a video game potion.
Yeah, it is. It was actually just like a green herb potion.
But I think it needed more of that. Like, I wanted it to be a bit funnier. Like, it was kind of like at times it was like silly and at times it wasn't.
You find it like it needs to get both foot in. It needs to go all in on one style, and it kind of sounds like a little in the middle, maybe.
Yeah, because like at one side it's trying to be this kind of serious kind of mafia story,
and it really relishes in that.
Yeah, and like kind of like we're going to do like a chase that's more grounded, and like it's
like in some ways it feels like a Scorsese film, like one of his like epic crime movies.
Yeah, and then the other minute it's like this voiceover, like this cringy voiceover of Batman.
It's so weird that there's a voiceover, because I don't think there's been a voiceover in a Batman movie in years.
Yeah, talking about how he's the knight and vengeance and like what the city needs.
Yeah.
I gotta say, as Batman as a character in this, I don't understand a lot of his personal motivations. I thought he was like the most like cop loving he's ever been, and like in a weird way, because the movie's also like there's corruption in the cops except for these good ones, and like I don't like, and like whatever about that
the bit where they have the not all cops.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, there's that kind of moment in it.
Us boys in blue, we're the good boys.
And like, okay, that's kind of weird, but there's another moment in it where Batman gets really heated, and he only gets really like hot-headed about like 2 or 3 times. But one of the times is when he's kind of needling Catwoman about her possibly being a sex worker, and he's getting like "Oh, what else do you do?" and kind of getting like really weird about it, and she's kind of like, "I do what I have to do," and he's kind of just being an absolute dick at the idea of her being a sex worker and looking down at her. Honestly, yeah, and it's kind of like he's kind of like, okay, and like.
It's such a weird relationship.
Yeah, and like
because I love Zoe Kravitz in this movie.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz is brilliant in it.
She's so small. She's like 5 feet tall.
Oh, that's class.
But like there's another bit with a sex worker as well where he's kind of like, well, maybe she deserved it for like, it being in the job she's in. And I was kind of like, this is such a weird... Like, he's meant to help people, like, and these...
I don't think there's, like, anything lamer for Batman, the character, than him walking around being like, these sex workers need to tidy themselves,
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah. But ultimately, like, at the end, Riddler's kind of vibe, there's kind of some crossed wires there, and, like, Riddler's like, we're kind of the same, and Batman's like, no, and I'm kind of like, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, like... They do an interesting thing with the Riddler where the Riddler is a fan of Batman and has like misinterpreted Batman's motivations and made his own dogma on it. It's kind of like how people misunderstood The Matrix and used some of the wording from that film and weaponized it in a really shitty way. And so the Riddler is that like the Riddler is on some very bad websites. Like that's in the film. Like he's on some very bad websites. And
that's really interesting.
It's very interesting,
yeah.
and that's a thing about Bruce Wayne is that Bruce Wayne is just this person who's motivated by spite and hate and kind of it comes from a negative place.
Yeah.
And the Riddler is the same thing, but like it's just kind of how they act on it, and they really, really try to like push home at the end that Batman's actually like he's a good guy, and Batman has an arc. Bruce Wayne doesn't though. And there's several points in the film where Bruce Wayne is walking around and he's in civilian mode and he's asked of certain things because of his financial place, and it's never explored.
Yeah, like maybe you could do something, and he's like, no, maybe not. Like so, like the movie had like a weird tone issue because of that, because you're trying to explore the idea of these like online people who like get radicalized or whatever, but then you also have this Batman who's like he can't fall on either side of like the law being corrupt or not corrupt, and then you have the kind of new person who's running for mayor, and she's like, I'm tough on drugs and crime, and Batman's whole thing at the start is like, I need to stop them, I need to clean up the city, and the issue with the city is there seems to be a drug problem in it, but it never really explores what the drugs are, who's taking them, why they're taking them. Like
they're called drop heads.
They're called drop heads. There's a name, there's a branding, there's a cool like mask that people wear. So like that stuff is all there, but they're not really saying anything about it. So it's like really surfacey stuff. It's kind of like you can draw your conclusions from all of this. We're not saying anything either way. Yeah. And like whatever, okay.
It's apolitical, Niamh. It's how art needs to be.
So you're not going to do that in your superhero movie. I'm used to this at this stage. But then, then they're trying to do a serious mafia movie, but also a more lighthearted detective superhero thing, and they're not meshing well either. So I felt like I watched 3 movies, and one of them was good, the other one was and then the third one just felt really rushed. Like it felt simultaneously too long and too short. It's a weird one. Like, I didn't hate it.
No, it's fair watch. I will at some point watch the 4-hour cut of this movie that exists.
Does it actually exist?
I guarantee on HBO Max they'll do like an extended edition, because the director Matt Reeves, who did some of the Planet of the Apes prequel movies in the 2010s.
Those are such weird movies.
Yeah, I love that second one so much. This film is a vibe, and you're into the vibe until you're not, and then there's like you're only like 1/3 of the way through the film, and like there's so many characters walking incredibly slowly in wide shot from point A to point B. Or there's this one bit where like Batman has to take a clue out of a box, and it's one shot and it takes him 3 minutes to do it, and the music is just okay, and the music is
bad.
The music is done by Michael Giacchino, who did like the music for Lost and Up, but what he does is it's kind of like a motif, which is just doom 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 doom. Sometimes it's on like a raw guitar, sometimes it's done with an orchestra, sometimes it's just done with a drum, but like that's the song you're gonna hear.
For 3 hours. And Nirvana.
Yeah, there's one.
Oh, they did the 1991 album Nevermind, I believe.
I still think they should have done a Lenny Kravitz song. I just think that would have been fun.
Okay, I think for the next Batman movie, they should use Limp Bizkit as a soundtrack.
They should.
Yeah.
I think that would make this more fun.
Two-Face shooting people to Roland would be great.
I think if this is the building blocks for something, it might be a good place, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, I don't know. This wouldn't be high on my rewatch
Gotcha.
list.
Yeah, I do want to watch this movie again, but not soon.
Yeah, like 6 years, I'll be like, what was that like?
Yeah, definitely at the end of the decade.
Guys, real quick, I watched a lot of the anime My Dress Up Darling. Sometimes the online anime community makes me feel completely insane. I'll get like up front. I like this show. I think this is a stupid, fun, cute girlfriend simulator, and I like it.
Oh, I know this girl. I've
Yeah.
seen her in a bunch of like.
Yeah, she's fucking cool. She is the best thing about this show.
I've seen her on TikTok.
Yeah, I bet you have. I've seen a lot of people be like, "This is such a wholesome show," and like, there is absolutely wholesome parts to this show, but like. This show is also such garbage, and I say that with love. Like, I enjoy it. I like the trashy parts of this show, but like, people get angry then when you're like, well, this show's pretty fucking trash. It's like, no, it's not. This is a really wholesome show, and Marin's a great character. It's like, there are wholesome parts to this show, and I do like Marin as a character. But sometimes them titties are just flopping everywhere.
It says here it's a seinen show. This is for horn dogs.
This is a horn dog show. There are scenes in this show designed for dudes to jerk themselves off to. No hate! You fucking do you, buddy. But I feel like there's certain people on the internet who have been only consuming anime for so long, they have forgotten what non-horny content looks like. So, it's about this dude, Gojo. Gojo is really good at painting little dolls.
Gojo.
Then he runs into a situation with the hot girl at his school, Marin. And Marin is just super outgoing. And as it turns out, she really wants to do cosplay, but she's bad at sewing. And then she finds out that Gojo is good at like sewing and cloth and stuff. And the two of them get together and start making cosplays. I think what like actually just saves this show for me and what elevates it above like just a lot of very kind of trashy shows this type, there is a real genuine passion for cosplay. Like there's whole episodes on like the kind of camera they want to use. There was a big scene on like how cosplayers use tape, like invisible tape, like hidden by their wigs to change the shape of their eyes.
Wow.
Apparently that's a thing.
It's not a good thing.
In a Japanese show about Japanese characters.
Yeah. I just know there's a lot of debate around that in the cosplay community.
Yeah, sure. I think that might be more a Western. I get where you're coming from, and yet no, thank you, no pardon that, please. But it's interesting when like you do find out about this stuff, and like there's a lot about like fabric and how they match the color to the characters and that, and then there'll just be a scene where it's like the most luxuriously animated anime titty for like a minute in the middle, and it's like, okay, cool. This is here too. I have no interest in commenting whether that's good or bad. Everyone has fuck it, I don't care that much.
I care.
My girlfriend told me that the second episode is 18 minutes of measuring her.
Yeah, it is, and for that 18 minutes the show turns into a mean girlfriend anime. And I was like, cool, this is great. And then it stops being that, which was disappointing. But, I mean, if you like trashy anime that's like can be sweet and can be wholesome and has like genuinely a bit more heart to it than a lot of this stuff, this is a fun show. It's cute. There's one scene on a beach and the color design gets really amazing just for this one scene. And it's cool. I enjoy this show. I think people... maybe I haven't been vocal about this enough. I think people who watch anime on the internet are fucking insane. And you know what? I've been holding back on saying it. Just what the fuck is going on? I can't take no more. That's all. Strategy talk. Bryan, Bryan, I'm real keen to hear about this Kirby demo. Sorry, guys, how are we doing on PlayStation time? Has it started? Have we missed it? What happened?
No, it's not
It's on
started.
in 15 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. We're not to break time space continuum here, but we're recording on the day that the PlayStation thing is happening. So get ready for our fiery hot live takes as we talk
Absolutely.
about Elden Ring.
It won't be Elden. Yeah, it'll be headlines.
So anyway, Bryan, get your stupid fucking bullshit kitty game out of the way so we can talk about a real video game.
So Elden Ring. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. They put out a demo. This game's out in like just over 2 weeks. Just under 2 weeks at the time of
Same day
release.
as Ghostwire, right?
Yep, I'm going to be getting both of these games and playing them at the same time for some reason. This was a very good demo. They give you a good sample of what is to come in it. It's a nice little vertical slice of it. I think it's only like the first 2 levels in a boss battle, which is all you need. They've done some interesting decisions because this is Kirby, but as a light 3D platformer in terms of its space. I guess it's somewhere between Crash Bandicoot and Mario 3D World, let's say. And so Kirby has Z depth. And previously when you played a Kirby game, you would swallow an enemy and you would have to press down on the directional pad to swallow. But because down now means walk towards the foreground because of Z depth, when he swallows an enemy, he just automatically copies their ability if they have an ability.
Right.
So that's streamlined. But that is messing up 30 years of muscle memory.
Oh no.
Because when I swallow an enemy in Kirby, I instinctively hit down. So every time I swallow an enemy, I walk towards the screen.
It's a whole Photoshop Control-Z, Control-Alt-Z conundrum.
Absolutely. And then another interesting thing, and they haven't done this in ages, but Kirby's hover jump is like the N64 game, where sometimes he has an infinite amount of hover, but in this one, it's done where it has an invisible meter, like it has a stamina, kind of like the N64 game, where he hovers and he can move high vertically for a few jumps, but his horizontal movement is terrible. And so it's good for getting out of certain situations or for kind of exploring places, but it's not the kind of game you will explore vertically. The game very much wants you on the ground in the action, which is good, because sometimes you can cheese Kirby games by just flying over levels. But yeah, it was very fun. The presentation is fantastic. There was a great boss battle against a giant gorilla.
Did you eat a car?
I did. Well,
You wouldn't need a car.
I tried to eat a car. I just sort of gummed it and then drove around in the car. And that bit was really fun. And I also tried to eat a traffic cone and I tried to eat a vending machine. I'm really curious to see how far they'll go with that stuff.
I want to see Kirby eat a planet.
That might happen.
Better.
I am very much looking forward to this game. This demo only cemented my enthusiasm, because I remember 1 year ago I played a demo for a game called Balan Wonderworld, and that demo did a
That
great...
fucking demo.
That demo told me, no, Bryan, this ain't good. But fortunately this demo did the opposite. It said, hey Bryan, it's fucking cool.
So enthusiasm is good, because I think I'm going to give that game a shot. I think there's something about that game that looks so fucking cool.
Oh yeah, no, it's something special.
Okay, cool. We have all played Elden Ring.
Yes, we have. Okay, in the description we will have a timestamp, because let's talk spoilers. If you don't want to hear us talk about Elden Ring, skip ahead to the timestamp in the description. Is that fair?
Maybe you've heard like 5 other video game podcasts talk about it and you don't want to hear that conversation again. But ours will be better.
Yeah.
Ours will be better.
We've all played it. Do we want to say how many hours and what level we're at, just to get a sense?
Sure.
I'm around 30 hours in and I'm around level 30.
Okay.
So an hour for each level.
I think I'm about the same.
I am 20 hours into the game and I'm level 64.
What? How?
64?
How are you far? Did you kill the dragon?
Not yet.
The rune dragon?
I found a place and there are these fuckers that drop 100 rune or 1,000 runes. And I also got the scarab thing that gives you 20% buff XP. And
Bryan, you're after looking up some shit.
I got real good. And I put on an audiobook and I had a very chill Sunday.
Oh my god. Send me a message after this and tell me where where I can find these runes. What?
This game's still hard as fuck though.
Okay, so what's your starting class?
I was a vagabond, but now I'm doing magic because magic is broken in that game.
Magic seems fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really fun.
I started as a confessor and have, also like really focused on magic.
I started as a wretch. It's the naked one.
Yeah, the one in the underpants.
Yeah. I always start Souls games as the naked ones.
I remember the one in Bloodborne was called Waste of Skin. It's just
That's pretty good.
so dehumanizing.
I have really been looking forward to talking about this game. It's nearly difficult to know where it starts.
Yeah, like...
Did you find the tutorial?
No.
Okay, I found the tutorial dungeon after playing 12 hours of the game.
Where is it?
It's at the start.
It's at the very start, and you're in a cave, but if you drop down, it teaches you how to play the game.
Yeah.
But obviously you don't drop down because you think you're going to die.
But there's an NPC sitting in a chair who tells you to go down there.
Oh, yeah, okay, he said that, and I was like, no way, buddy, I know how these games work, and I just ran outside.
Yeah, no, so the game...
And then the fucking Wood Knight killed me.
Oh, yeah. The Tree Sentinel.
Yeah.
So what I did is, like, I went up the steps first, saw there was an elevator, and I was like, I better just have a look around down here in case I can't come back. And then I did the tutorial, like a normal person.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I had to look up every... I don't know how to cast a spell in that game.
You need a staff or
Yeah.
a wand or something.
Or finger trap. But then once I did the tutorial and stepped outside to Elden Ring, like everyone was saying, you can go anywhere. You can just like start walking south. You can walk anywhere. And I decided to go around the building I was in just to do a loop around to see if there's anything at the back of it. And whatever direction I ended up, I started walking towards ruins. And there was a whole pile of like messages on the ground that said, seek house. And I was like, okay, house. This looks like a house. It looks like a burnt house. And it's full of these enemies that were in the tutorial area. These like old men and dog and giant rat. So I was like, this seems beginnery.
Very friendly ghouls.
Yeah,
you're
and it was
fine.
like the dragon burnt ruins, and I was just like, yeah, okay, cool. And I like cleared it all out. Fine, this seems totally doable. There was a chest, and I was just like, cool, like a nice weapon.
Niamh wins again.
Yeah. And I opened the chest, and it transported me to the worst place I've ever been, where you're in a mine, where everything is so much stronger than me. My swords are useless. You can't fight them. So I had to run through,
This
step
is the
out.
mine with the weird, awful centipede.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. I actually went back and cleared that place out today.
Yeah. And it's weird because it teleports you into the middle.
Yep.
And it's such a moment of, I love how the developers fuck with you in this game. Because it puts you in the middle and you either have to go towards the boss fog gate or go back to the bonfire.
And
You're fucked.
it's just one of these things where I trusted the tutorial. I trusted the NPC telling me to drop down the hole. And most people are like, I'm not going to do that because I know these games. And I was like, this is the start of the game. What are they going to do to me? So I trusted the NPC. And then I went to an area that seemed like trustworthy in the sense of what I know video games to be.
And it's like 2 minutes away from the
Yeah,
starting
it's
area.
right there. And like in the front of the starting area is a big man on horse who's going to kill you. And
Yep.
then the other way is a way that seems safer because it's full of tutorial level enemies. And it just brought me to hell. Like it was a poison lake with a red sky.
Yeah, then you get outside. So you're in the weird crystal mine.
Yep.
And then you get outside and you literally walk into fucking Berserk's Eclipse.
Yep.
It's awful.
The ground is red, the plants are really upsetting. It does not look like planet
So
Earth.
the game genuinely scared, like really frightened me to my core at one point because I was riding around that place and I kept seeing those birds in the distance. You know, the birds with the giant heads.
Oh yeah, and they can run really fast.
They are so much bigger than you think they are and I was just riding along on my horse and a split second one landed on me and knocked my horse and next thing I looked up at it and like its animation was so convincing. It was fucking scary. It kept pecking at my shield and like in a really vicious way and it fucked me up. Like I had to take a moment after that attack because it was really upsetting.
There's a lot of scary birds in this game. Like
you guys-
sword feet birds.
They're nasty. Did you guys find the Castle of Hands?
Yep.
Not
I
yet.
just found that today and I was like, fuck this.
The
This
spider
is
hands.
stupid.
You should hang out there. There's a really, really good weapon there.
I did travel there, but I ran through it so fast. So I saw the hands, but I got the weapon. Because I watched that YouTube video like everyone else did.
I'm not watching any videos for this.
This one just came up. It was like doing the rounds, and it was just like, you can get this like
Yeah, fucking say
special
whatever you
sword.
want, cheater.
Well, There's no wrong way to play Elden Ring.
No, there is. Like, the attitude that there is so fucking silly.
This is an open world role playing game.
Mm-hmm. Like, to me, like, I kind of said this before, but like the way I kind of feel about this game is like I've beaten Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Sekiro, Bloodborne, and I beat them all the purest way. I'm done. I'm gonna summon shit. I'm gonna be a bollocks. I'm not gonna look stuff up just because I genuinely just like finding stuff in. But like I'm just gonna play this game however I want, and the more I mess around with it, the more it's really fun. Because like when I started, I was real like I'm not gonna use any of the like AI summons or anything. Because generally,
the wolves are great.
In most like Souls games, I don't summon co-op for help because I like fighting Dark Souls bosses like they're punch out bosses. I like figuring them out. So I was like 20 hours into this game and I'd never summoned anything. And then like I came across a mob of enemies and I was like, oh, it's going to take me a while to clear these out. But like I know I'm gonna, but yeah. So I said, okay, fuck it, I'll just summon these weird farmer men. The summons are so fun.
Yep.
They're so fun. And it's like, it's so cool. Like I have an inhuman summon right now, which is basically just like 5 little goblins, and like one of them's real big and has a club, and one of them's like no weapon and just runs around on all fours, and it's just me and my little goblin squad. Every now and then we just roll up on people and fuck them up.
There's a great one where it's just like a diseased dog.
Oh, class!
I think it's like Scourge dog or something, a rotten dog, but like it bites enemies and like poisons them or gives them blood rot or something.
Yeah, but I also feel like the summons aren't actually powerful enough to really change too much about a boss fight.
They're mainly distractions so that you can go in behind the boss and get a few hits.
They're going to be dead within 30 seconds of being summoned.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Right, what kind of build are you guys rolling with?
Because I was doing Confessor, but I started really liking the incantations, I found a winged scythe. So
Sick.
That's faith, and my incantations are faith, so I'm using the winged scythe and spells. But I also have a shield that I like. When I run out of magic, I switch to my shield for defense. But like, yeah, so magic and my cool scythe.
I'm wielding 2 very fast swords, so I can play Bloodborne style with no shield. But then as an alternative, I have my spellcasting sword and a giant tortoise shell as a shield.
Sick!
And the tortoise shell's really fun because when you're not wearing it, it's just on your back and you look like a turtle.
That's great.
Cool. Did you have to kill a turtle for that, Bryan?
You had to go
You didn't kill the Pope Turtle, did you?
I have not encountered him, but I've heard there's a Pope Turtle.
Oh, there's a Pope Turtle.
You go south and there's a dungeon with a bunch of turtles wandering around and they're just minding their own business, and you go to the back and you open up a treasure chest and there's a shield in there, I think. Or maybe there's also a charm where it's a turtle charm, but it helps with your stamina. It makes it come back quicker. So I'm using that a lot. So I'm either playing from a distance, casting spells, or I'm up close fighting Scrappy and chipping away. Depends on the crowd.
Same. And I like the ability to have that kind of thing, to kind of go between the two.
Yeah.
I've always like worn big heavy armor and kind of used a sword and shield in these games because that's kind of how I thought you played them. But now I'm like wearing light armor. Like I took off my Confessor robes and I switched to an astrologer robes just because it's higher faith and stuff. So I'm just like a little weak squishy mage now, pretty much. But
you're
like,
still getting on all right.
Yeah. The
That's
like
cool.
fire incantation and dark fire incantation, they will melt a person.
I'm kind of playing like sword and board, like the really standard build. And today I actually started speccing differently. I was like, okay, I'm going to put more into Dex. I think I'm going to put some into Intelligence because I actually want to mess around with this game's systems. I don't just want to build like an optimum character.
Dex is great if you want to play really weird fast weapons.
See, I there's a lot of really cool weapons in it, like the flail that I can't use because my Dex wasn't high enough, so now I'm just dropping stuff into Dex.
There's that, and there's this, like, it's basically like Darth Maul's lightsaber, like it's just a twin stick.
Oh, cool.
And you swing it around like that, and you can find that pretty early on in the game. That's pretty good.
I got a whip.
I got a whip as well.
You can stun people with the whip.
So
really?
So
Yeah.
it's like the Treaded Cane and Bloodborne, that kind of thing.
A little bit, yeah. It's cool because like I think the way I've been speccing in this is I find a weapon I think looks cool and I go, I would like to use this, and then I spec towards that, and that has kind of made my incantation wing sight build like happen. And like I think that's a fun way of doing it because of the open world possibilities of kind of finding multiple weapons and different things, you're kind of like, okay, I want to try and use this.
Yeah, because I feel like with previous Souls games, I'd get like very early in, I'd lock myself into a build because I just feel like, I'm at some point I'm gonna find a roadblock boss that I just have to beat. But in this, it's nice that I don't have to worry about that because it's like, well, I'm just gonna, if I find something I can't beat, like when I've met Godric, I was just like, oh well, fuck this guy.
Yeah, because I guess Stormvale Castle is kind of like probably going to be the first dungeony area most players are going to go to, and that has 2 story mandatory bosses, I guess, to kind of complete and advance that area.
Yeah.
And one's the dude, what's his name, Margit, at the entrance to the castle, and then Godric the Grafted at the end.
Godric's so fucked up.
Yeah.
He has all his brothers and sisters' arms taped to him.
I do actually like the lore of this.
Me too.
I wasn't into it at the start, but like the idea that there's this big giant tree and it's supposed to be this blessed event that this tree is here, but really it's cursed people to become more tree-like. And someone who read Joe Jolien, and the second half of Joe Jolien is purely about grafting and about people attaching branching limbs onto them. Like Godric the Grafted made complete sense. But it seems like a lot of characters are more tree than human, or have elements of like fauna to them, or flora, and they're not fauna anymore. And I think that's kind of interesting because usually, like, when you think of trees, you think nature is healing, but in this sense, like, nature is
it's
killing.
more like a giant parasitic invader.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's cool whenever you get close to an Eld tree, you start to see those tree people appear, and you're like, oh, here we fucking go. I really enjoy killing those Eld tree avatars.
I haven't fought any of them yet.
Really?
I ran away from them. I'm not ready yet.
I know you would be, Bryan.
Yeah.
Like they do a lot of damage and they hit hard, but they have a really limited move set that's really predictable.
Okay.
Don't fight the one in
There's one in the south that's really mean.
There's one in the plague lands, the with all the fucked up birds and stuff. There's one there who's a nightmare. I really had trouble against him, but the others are grand.
Okay.
They don't like fire.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I got fire stuff now. You got lots of that fire grease stuff that coat your swords.
How have you guys allocated your potions? Because you can choose, but you could basically have 8 potions, and it's like you can go 4 health to 4 mana, and how you guys done it?
I've only 6 currently, so I've I've just split 50-50, 3 health and 3 mana.
I'm like 2/3 health, 1/3 fighting points or FP, I guess.
Because up till now I've just done all health.
Yeah, but before I was doing that, but now that I'm working,
I think
on
it'll be
this
more
spell.
it'd be more fun to do it the other way.
Yeah.
Like to have some FP. But yeah, it's a huge game in a way that's like it's not just that it's huge, it's just the density of it. I'm close to 30 hours in now. I've never had a play session where I didn't see something really new and memorable each time. I am starting to see repeat stuff. I am starting to see bosses that I've already beaten, which is a bit of a bummer.
I've heard, because one of the first catacombs you go into has this watchdog sentinel thing.
Yeah, that's a fucking cool boss.
Yeah.
He's gonna appear a couple times apparently.
So I have found 2 of him.
Yeah.
But they also, I think they were a slightly different version because they cast magic.
Okay, that's cool. But like the way that thing moved was incredibly upsetting.
It was incredibly upsetting, and also I felt like such a good tutorial boss.
Yeah. Because
it's like its movement was so rigid and predictable.
Yeah.
I've also come across a lot of beast-like men with swords,
yeah.
Leone Misbegotten.
This was a bummer because we both killed the same dude.
Yeah.
Did you fight him, Bryan, the lion guy?
In the castle.
I think so.
He's down south.
No, I haven't fought him.
So Niamh fought him, and Niamh's found him another place, and I found him another place again. So there's at least 3 versions of him, which is kind of a bummer.
Okay.
It's just okay, fast wolf-like man.
Yeah.
But I guess what I would say is that there's a wonder point, I feel like, with open world stuff. There's a point where you have such a wonder for the world and it eventually wears off, because eventually these things are video games and they repeat,
Yeah.
And when I think of Breath of the Wild, I think one of my biggest problems with Breath of the Wild is the wonder point came really quickly, because you're playing Breath of the Wild. First time you encounter one of those stone dudes, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
The first time you encounter a giant ogre, amazing. A Lionel, a dragon in the sky. that's kind of it.
And then they're just farming utensils.
Yeah, you kind of encounter those 4 things, and like there's a few other things, but that's kind of it. I think Elden Ring, like, obviously it's a video game, it's limited to some capacity, but I genuinely think it is so shockingly impressive how, like, the variety in that world, the different stuff you can find. Like, every play session, I have weird stories. I find something I want to tell someone something about. And I think it is a real... I feel like they have put so much into this game, and it shows.
Yeah, it's huge. Like, one of the reasons I wasn't a huge fan of Breath of the Wild is I felt the geography of it didn't change much. I felt very much in, like, I know you had your desert areas and whatever, but it wasn't like the flora and fauna of it kind of stayed the same a lot of the time.
There's so
and it
many
was
grasslands.
it would just be recolors of the same enemies. With this, it's like the areas are so different all the time. Like, getting to a new place and seeing it all be like a swampy area or just like a poison area, I feel like it's a living, breathing world that exists without my involvement in it. And these people are just doing a lot of in this world.
Totally. I came across this place, and it was like a village, but like sunk into like a lake, inhabited by like these fucking weird fishmen.
The dudes who do the cartwheels to attack you, yeah, they're sick.
Yeah, they're fucked up.
Little fish dudes.
Did you find the elevator where you go down like 5 minutes in an elevator?
And it's another game. Yeah.
That was like Pokemon Gold and Silver, where I was like, oh, this game's twice the size.
Yeah, that was fucked up. Like, there's a couple of times where I've like been teleported to a new location, and I see like
how far
the
north
entire world I've discovered, and then I'm that length up again, and it fucks me up. I'm like, oh my god, what is this game?
I do get the feeling that more or less the map is a ring. Or that it's like a crescent.
Oh yeah.
In that you start at, let's say, 6 o'clock, and you're going to go up to 9 o'clock, all the way up to 12 o'clock. Then you're going to go back down to 3 o'clock. And like, it doesn't close like a loop, like a ring, but like, for the most part, it seems like the middle of the map is just a body of water.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it does have that vibe to it.
Because it just feels like where the giant tree is in the middle is kind of, it's like out on a peninsula or something, but it's not really accessible from every angle.
Yeah.
What I've been trying to do is just collect all the map fragments.
Yeah,
and fill in
they're fun to do.
the
Yeah,
map.
they are.
And you do get that sense that a lot of the middle of it is kind of a wetlandsy place. I really like Torrent, your horse.
He's great.
The goat horse, cow horse thing.
Just the ability to kind of
And his double jump.
move around that world with his double jump.
His double jump feels so good.
And it's so good to just like skip ahead of the game, because like, well, like, not really skip ahead, but like, you know, that you don't need to get caught up in something. You can just go, oh, there's a giant lobster, and just keep going.
It sometimes feels like you're cheating nearly, that you can run past all these things, but then once you do get off,
and the fact that you can skip the castle by just going around the perimeter of it, you don't need to do that castle, which...
That's crazy. I think I'm actually on the other side of that castle. I just didn't know that that's where it led. Because I haven't beat the second boss.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't beat Godric either.
He
scares me. I'll go back. It's just, this is another thing that I think is like a plus and maybe a negative in some ways for Elden Ring for me personally, is like with a game like Bloodborne and Sekiro, I was very motivated to beat the bosses because I had no other option. I kind of had to beat the boss, you know what I mean? So I just had to get good at it. I had to improve and I had to beat it. With Elden Ring, because I can go anywhere, sometimes I feel like I'm doing busy work and not actually playing the game because I'm not playing the kind of mission critical bosses or the important ones. So I feel like I've played for 30 hours, but I'm like, have I progressed? But I always have this feeling like even if I don't finish a game, I'm like, did I even play that? Even if I played it for 80 hours.
To me, the busy work kind of is the game. Like, I nearly feel like when I go fight Godric in something, I'm checking something that the game wants me to do. I'm not really doing what I want to do. Because like, I like that castle, but the castle really gave me vibes of like, I'm playing Dark Souls now. And I don't really want to play Dark Souls. I want to play Elden Ring.
See, I really love that castle, because my biggest problem with the game when I started playing was, my favorite thing about, I guess, a game like Bloodborne is that I love the architecture and loop around design of these environments, whether it's a castle or a very small compressed city.
Yeah.
But learning off the like blueprints of that environment, and you don't get that in the open world part, because it's just kind of hills and valleys and bowls. But with Stormvale Castle, that was the first time where I was like, okay, I'm gonna need to like study this environment and know how many enemies are up this ladder.
Yeah, sure, I get that.
And the shortcuts are very satisfying.
Yeah, totally. For me, it's like that's more nearly like a negative, because in a lot of Souls games, I find myself kind of blundering about not knowing where to go, and I don't have that with this game, and I kind of love that.
Yeah, positive and negative.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Because
I think it just
love
depends
that.
what you want.
I love that freedom of when I bang my head against something, like I go, okay, I'm going to try Catagum today, and I know I can clear that, and that won't give me as much of a headache. Or I found like just a death bird behind a hut that appears at nighttime, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to work on beating this today, kind of thing. And like I'm having these kind of miniature goals, but I guess there's some mental block where I feel because it's not the main goal, I'm not achieving something.
That's really like that's interesting. I'm surprised, considering you've probably played the most open world games out of any of us.
Yeah, but open world games are so signposted a lot of the time, and there is like a lot of the reason I like a lot of open world games is for some reason a lot of them are narrative based, I guess. So I'm kind of moving. You have your main mission quest line, and you have your side ones, and you're like, well, I've only an hour, so I can do my side quests. But if I want to, I can go on my main mission quest as well. With this, I feel like I'm always putting off my main mission quest because I'm not good enough, and my fear is like maybe I won't be good enough to beat Godric or whatever comes after Godric, and I'll always just be doing the side stuff, and I won't see the more crafted stuff.
Yeah.
Because like with stuff with Bloodborne and Sekiro, I was really driven by the design of those bosses. Like oh my god, what am I going to see next? Like holy crap, Genichiro's second phase, or like the Guardian Ape, and there was always this kind of cool build from one to the next where I felt like I'd really achieved something by beating them, and same with Bloodborne, like just kind of meeting all these characters and going through that world. I felt like I was learning about the world as I was kind of learning how to beat these characters. But with Elden Ring, I feel like a little bit that I'm putting off an inevitability because of my lack of ability.
Yeah, and it is tough
which is both
to
fun
know,
and bad.
It is tough to know, like, when should I be fighting this boss?
Yeah, like
it's kind of because like the first time you meet Margit, you're not meant to beat Margit. The first time you meet Godric, you're not meant to meet. Is it Godric or Godfrey? Because I think there's two different characters.
Yeah, there's two of them. Yeah, but Godric is in Stormvale Castle.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
Godric, yeah. And the first time I ran up to Godric and hit him, I took off like 1,000th of his health, and I was like, well, I shouldn't be here. But I think I can probably beat him now. But yeah, I get you. That is kind of it is tough to know, because like you never have to ask yourself that in a Souls game, because it's like, well, this is what you got to do if you want to. Like, if you got to go grind, but you are going to come back here and you have to beat this thing.
Yeah, like the first time I beat like Lady Butterfly in Sekiro, I was just like, I felt like I knew her. Where I felt with like Margit, I went away and I got fire, and then I came back and set him on fire, and you know I didn't have that
totally.
relationship
I get that,
with him in the same way, so his boss wasn't as impactful for me. And maybe that's just these two bosses, because I'm not so in love with their designs. Like, they're kind of gross, they're scary and they're cool, but like I don't know, they're not intriguing me in the same way the world as Sekiro and Bloodborne did stylistically. But I think I'm more of a gothy weeb than a high fantasy nerd.
Yeah, this is definitely high fantasy again.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I guess my gripes with the game are that I know From Software have to work smart. The door opening animation is the same door opening animation that they've had since 2009 with Demon Souls.
Yeah, and like there is the odd weapon where I'm like, oh, this is that weird scythe weapon from Bloodborne.
Yeah, and like I get that they have to work smart, but like it is a Souls game in that like you have down in the bottom left corner you got your 4 boxes with your different items, and you have your like they are using what works, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of attitude with how they make games. It's another woman that levels you up. This woman's kind of not really as present as the other women.
That's actually something I'm not loving about Elden Ring so far, is I think if I wasn't playing as a female character, the women in this are mostly dead are a vessel for something else. Like you meet the king's daughter, and that doesn't end well. I met another NPC and he's standing over a dead woman. There's just a lot of dead women where I think of something like again, Sekiro or Bloodborne, and there was cooler female characters. And again, even though I'm 30 hours into this game, I am at the start of the game because I haven't progressed through Godric. So maybe there is cooler ones.
You're probably, I think a lot of people would kind of be at that point. Like, I wouldn't say you're behind or anything. But yeah. You get that woman who hugs you.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, something's sus about this. You're not touching me.
Okay, do you know what she does when she hugs you?
What?
She takes 5% of your health. And to get it back, you have to use her charm.
Okay.
So she's an entrapper.
Yep.
The deathbed companion.
It does help with your poise, but that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't let her hug me. I was just like, I wanted to, but I knew not to.
I was like,
I don't know. I got a treasure that sent me to hell. I've been so nervous about opening every chest.
So there's actually one place I got sent that's worse than there. It's basically, I just got sent to this giant church, like right up.
I got sent there too because there's a chest on top of a tower.
Yep.
Which church is
The
this?
horrible church.
Yeah, and so in front of you is a giant mechanical man made of fire, and then you're like, well, that's fucked up. And you run outside, and like on the steps of the church is just a giant, like, ink black angel creature. And I was like, well, this is fucking awful. And so I snuck past him, and then I saw like a little gremlin, like little wizard gremlin, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And he turned around and killed me in one hit, and I was like, this is the worst game.
Oh, those guys will give you 1,000 runes. They're worth farming.
Yeah, I was not taking one of them down at that point.
I like opening a treasure chest in this game just has my ass
I know,
sweating every time.
yeah.
I'm just like, please just give me an item. Because like I'm still kind of like, I've been using my confessor armor, and I bought the astrologer armor off off just one of the merchants. I haven't found cool armor because all the armor I'm finding is medium and heavy and none of it's light. So I've just kind of been like, please give me something cool. So I'm opening every chest, and it's been not fun.
I'm wearing like an inside-out skeleton costume with a ponytail.
That's
Sick.
cool. You're finding great stuff, Bryan.
This is from like the NPC that won't talk to you in the in that safe zone.
Oh, how'd you make him talk to you?
You know how you get these like half of a medallion?
Yeah.
If you get one of them, I can't remember which one, but I got one out of a chest, but I think that activated something where I went back to the safe space, but I was allowed to use my weapons, and I was like, that's strange, because usually when you press the trigger buttons, you can't do
nothing
anything.
happens.
And then this dude appeared out of nowhere, and I had to fucking fight him. And then it turned out that was an illusion, and then it brought me back to the real one, and I got his armor.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why like, it's really weird to know what the cause and effects are.
Yeah.
Because you know the way at the very beginning there's a dude standing next to a candle and you can chat to him. I think he's gone. I think he's finally gone now for me. I think he's fucked off to whatever phase of the game you're meant to go next, suggestively.
It's like you can't get spirit tuning unless you like exhaust the dialogue of the girl you meet in the shack who gives you the
you've got to talk her 3 times.
Yeah, and also the smith.
Yeah, like I'd say for about 6 hours of this game, I didn't have my steed. I didn't have torrent because I didn't know to rest at a certain bonfire
I just
to do
happened
that.
on him like straight away.
Really?
Like hour 1.
Yeah, I didn't have him for
You know the
ages.
Blue Witch?
Yeah.
She did not spawn for me for the I was like 10 hours into my game and I still hadn't met her. And like I was at the point where like I knew you could summon things, so I went back to that church. She wasn't there. I went at night. She wasn't there. I did everything I could and she didn't turn up. And eventually I went to the round table at that place and then came back and then she was there. So I don't know.
I had to do the same thing because I was like 4 hours in and I hadn't found the horse either. And I was like, I had to Google it and they were like, you need to go there at nighttime. And I was like, nighttime? But I've been there at nighttime. So I went back and forth from the round table and she finally showed up.
I also thought her design was fucking amazing.
Yeah,
She's cute.
Brilliant.
I like her 4 hands.
She's got her eye closed with the cool marking.
Either you guys met the loathsome dung eater.
Just in the cutscene, but is he a cool guy?
I haven't met him. I'm just a big fan and very curious.
I haven't met him either.
He's living his best life.
I met Patches.
Oh yeah, Patches
I
was
haven't
fun.
met Patches.
Oh, it wouldn't be a From Software game without patches, I guess.
Have either of you met Pot Friend?
I
Yeah.
did meet Pot Friend because I was very upset.
Did you have to smack him on the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very upset that the first Pot I met was like hostile to me, and I was just like, no, I thought these would be friends. But then later on, I met Pot Friend
He's
who
stuck
asked you
in the hole.
to
You gotta pop him
smack
out.
his bottom.
Yeah.
He's like, just give it a good smack. I was just like, okay.
And then he's like, oh, my bottom.
Or you know how there's a bunch of trolls, but then one of the trolls is like super chill and he's smithing and he's a blacksmith. Mm-hmm. I like that troll.
He's friends with the werewolf. Have you guys met the werewolf?
I haven't met him yet. No.
I have met a very big, very angry werewolf, and I've accidentally done the second phase of his story, and he's like, I guess I'll see you around. But I really want to keep seeing him because he's so fucking cool.
I just triggered a giant dragon who's in the swamp now and ruins everything.
Oh fuck.
God.
I was told about that dragon. I've never met him.
If you go under the bridge and talk to an NPC, he goes, don't go in there, you'll trigger a dragon. And I went, okay. And then I went in there, and now a dragon lives by the dragon burnt ruins. And if you're in that area, it'll just run straight at you.
Oh my God.
I nearly shit my pants when I was in the Plague Lands. What's the Scarlet rot place?
Yeah.
And I rode over a dragon that just got up from the earth, and it was a giant plague dragon, and it was horrifying. Dragons in that game are fucking huge.
Did you find the really old one and it's like dying?
No.
And it's surrounded by like its dying children, and it's really cool to see their like little relationship. It's they all just hang around their like parents' mouth.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen that, but I went to the church where there's a husk of a dragon.
Oh yeah, I was there as well.
I've been to that one.
God, it's such a crazy game. I love this game so far. I'm really, really having a great time with it. I remember before, this was like way back, and it was Mystical Ninja: The Adventures of Goemon for the N64 game.
That is way back.
And there was this bit where you beat the first dungeon, you beat the first village, and then you leave the village. And there's this bit where you just like get to this huge, wide open road, and it's gigantic. Mm-hmm. And I always remember doing that bit and like hitting that spot where you basically hit like not really a vista, but just this massive space of like 3D in front of you.
Yeah,
and
this big horizon.
Yeah, you can't see what's at the end of it. You just have to follow it. And that, I always remember that as like such a powerful moment in video games for me, because like up until that, this was like a year before Ocarina of Time. You know, up until that, everything was levels. Everything was like, you know, Mario 64 levels, Crash Bandicoot levels. There was never a sense of like really traveling somewhere and wondering what was over the horizon. And a couple of games have given me that over the years. Like Breath of the Wild definitely did. There was like kind of some other stuff. I feel like with Elden Ring, I constantly have it when like I come across a big vista and I'm like, holy shit, I wonder what's in there. And like the important part about it is like that wonder is usually rewarded. Like I usually like, holy fuck, what is this thing? You know, sometimes it's a boss, sometimes it's a dungeon, sometimes it's a weird piece of story. I really think they've done something very special here. I don't think they've really done anything like new or that you haven't seen before. I just think they've done it better than most other things, and I think it's really impressive. I nearly resent the game because I can't play anything else. Like I'm not reading any comics or watching any anime in my spare time. I'm playing this fucking thing.
Yeah, my copy of Triangle Strategy got delayed, and GameStop were like, do you want to cancel? And I was like, no, it's okay. I'm busy.
Yeah, not in a rush.
I'll wait.
Yeah, I'm going to keep playing this game for now. I don't know how much I'll play, but I will play until I'm content. But yeah, it's fun.
Kind of reminds me a little, for me, of Red Dead Redemption 2, where it has that kind of, I feel rewarded for going off the beaten track.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I feel like I'm finding a lot out about my character, my play style. And with Red Dead, I was finding out about who Arthur was, because that's such a narrative-driven open world. But with this one, I'm kind of like, how do I want to approach this world? Like, I'm finding out how I want to play this world, and the other Souls games give you that option from the start, but I don't know enough to make that choice then. But with Elden Ring, I get to make that choice as I go, and that's really refreshing.
I constantly feel like I'm adding little pieces to my repertoire.
Yeah.
And it's so satisfying. Like, oh, this weapon works kind of differently, or, oh, you know, this spell can do this, and I love it. Like, oh, this someone's going to change how I approach this situation, and Yeah, I think it's a very special game. The fact that Ghostwire and Kirby are out in 2 weeks gives me chest pains.
Yeah. I can't wait for Ghostwire, though.
Yeah, looks dope. But yeah, Elden Ring. We're a, as ever, controversial podcast, and there's our controversial take. It's a good game.
Yeah, we like the game.
Yep.
I don't think people are in a hurry to call this a masterpiece. Maybe wait a year or two. Wait until the dust settles.
Yeah.
People called like Mario Odyssey a masterpiece and Bioshock Infinite a masterpiece. It's a very, very, very good game.
I think what I would say on that is like, I will remember the first like 10 hours I spent with Elden Ring very fondly, no matter what way it goes from here.
Yeah.
You know, like there was like 1 5-hour block I played on with Saturday, and it had me in a way a game has not had me for a while, and I do really appreciate that about it.
I think Bloodborne's better.
Bloodborne's not that good.
I think it's better, but I'm going to be biased because it's my favorite game.
I don't know that I like it better than like the first Dark Souls. I do like it better than Bloodborne. I think I like Bloodborne less than most people do, and still a lot. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I think Bloodborne is kind of a masterpiece.
I like Elden Ring. It's the game I needed right now.
Kind of same.
It's like, it's relatably bleak, but also gives me options in how to approach it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Pokemon Arceus is not getting a fucking look in for
and it
quite
won't.
a while. Yeah, probably. Well, I do want to play more of that game because it was weirdly chill, but...
Well, we'll get into it in the news.
Oh.
Quicktime Events. Halo co-op delayed past May update. What's that, Niamh?
So in May, there's going to be the Season 2 update for Halo, and that's bringing the new season for the multiplayer, and it was meant to bring Forge mode and co-op, and what they are saying right now is co-op will not come in May. And that's pretty disappointing since Halo has been like a co-op experience for the campaign, like whether you're doing split screen or like multiplayer co-op, like it's disappointing that it won't be there. It's like, what can you do? It's not going to be out, but like, I guess with delays like this, it kind of feels like maybe Halo Infinite was not ready to release when it released.
Yeah.
Because it feels like they're playing catch up, and I'm not the type of person who's in Reddit and leaving responses to every tweet they make that being like, fix your shitty game. But like those responses are there. People are pissed off about this. It is a bit low on content. It is not feature rich in the way it probably should be, and in the way that like co-op is an expectation with Halo. So it's a pity that it's being delayed, but again, what can you do? So it won't make the May update. Will it ever come out? Who's to say?
Well, the Master Chief Collection got working after a good 3-4 years.
Honestly, that kind of does look like the timeline.
Niamh, I promise you, in 2025, we're going to have such a good co-op campaign. Free update adds same-sex relationships to Haven.
Yeah, so this is Haven. This is the game you played, John. It's from the makers of Fury.
Uh-huh.
And this had the relationship between you and Kay in it. And as you played it, you said that their relationship was really good. And it was a real, like, honest and portrayal of a human sexual relationship.
Totally.
And it was kind of a bummer that, you know, if you're LGBT, it was kind of non-relatable, I guess. But also there was a bit of an issue narratively where if you are a gay person playing this game, the antagonist was a lesbian, keeping these couples apart. So there was a bit of an optics thing that didn't feel good for a lot of gay people playing this game. And like, it never felt like a mean-spirited optics thing.
So I think I know what happened. I think they were like, okay, we have this straight couple, but we really want some representation in this game. Who's the one other character in this game?
And that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It never felt malicious. And then when you read about what their goals for this game was, it was to show a mature sexual relationship. And originally they had a plan to have 8 different types of couple in it. And they couldn't execute on that because that's a huge ask for a small team. So they did what they did. But now they're offering a free update that will bring same-sex relationships to the game. And I think that's great. Like,
I think it's cool, and that is like development wise, that is not cheap because
No.
like these new characters are voice acted, and as far as I know,
yeah, they've changed voice lines and stuff. They've had to make the designs very in line with the original designs that were there for these kind of budgetary reasons. But yeah, they've done it and they're providing it for free. And this is a game that was always on my list to play, and it has definitely been bumped up. And I think it will be on a lot of people's lists.
there's really cool things about this game. I think people like if you this is like an ideal game if you can get it on sale. Absolutely, give it a shot.
It's on Game Pass.
Fuck it, then absolutely. Like it has issues. Like it's really grindy in a way that it just does not need to be. Like, and when I say grindy, I mean picking up mud, picking up weird space mud. But like, it was definitely it's to me, it's definitely like the best like romantic sexual relationship I've seen represented in a game. And I will say, not a whole lot of competition in that category, but yeah, they made an honest go of it, and when it hits, it's really, really good.
You got sex in GTA. It's pretty shit, but you know, someone had sex.
Someone had sex, but no one in Resident Evil 2, 3, and 7, which are all coming to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S. Come on, man, pretty good lead, right? Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So this is going to get all those bumps. It's going to get ray tracing, higher frame rate, 3D audio, and haptic feedback on the DualSense. And you get a free update if you already own the games on the PS4.
That's the way you should do it. Excellent. Then Pokemon
Scarlet and Violet.
So these are new generation.
This is the new red and blue, black and white, blah blah blah.
Okay.
Blah, blah.
In my mind, Sword and Shield just came out, and they're still working on the DLC expansion. That's not true. That game came out in like 2019 or something, and that was 3 years ago.
And the DLC's long out.
Yeah, and so I'm way off what's going on in Pokemon, but it feels like it's too soon for a new generation, or does it feel soon?
It does feel kind of quick, but
After Arceus specifically,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is out in November.
What I will say, those are my favorite starters in the longest time.
Yeah.
These are great little fellas, every one of them. Weed Cat, Stupid Dinosaur, Smug Duck, they're all brilliant.
I love the apple dinosaur so much. Like, what a cute design.
Great. I'm going for him. I kind of, for some reason, Niamh, thought you'd go for the Smug Duck because of his hair.
Yeah, honestly, I'm more into Weed Cat and Apple. Like,
Yeah.
just good concepts.
Bryan.
The duck, he's good.
The duck's pretty good. The trailer looked alright. Like, it looked pretty good. I hope they learned some of the legends from Arceus, because when Arceus hits, it hits hard. I think realistically though, this is going to be the exact same game they've made for the longest time, and I'm gonna complain about it and be like, well, it's not for me, and that's gonna be, I'd say, 1 month before it comes out, and then it's gonna come out, and then I will play it.
And then you'll say, you know what, it's actually
Well, you know, I've done that, like, I think a good 2 or 3 times in the lifetime of this podcast, so yeah.
Then just there, Advance Wars Remake is delayed indefinitely due to current world events, which is a good call.
Yeah.
This game was meant to come out April 8th. It actually didn't have a release date, it just said it was going to come out in April, and they revealed the release date was April 8th and that it's not coming out until further notice.
Yeah.
And I don't think this has happened since 9/11, when they had to like postpone games like Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yep.
Because
to take the Twin Towers out of that skybox.
And because that has an attack on New York City on the harbor, they had to kind of like disguise it a bit and kind of work around it and remove cutscenes. But this is interesting in that, like, obviously Nintendo are very conscientious of their reputation and are going to pull a game like this. But
yeah,
like,
Nintendo tread lightly.
But like, there are annualized war games out every year, but not for another 6 months. But I don't know what the response is on this in terms of video games, but for now, in the present, it's a good call. And then, hot off the press is the PlayStation event that just happened, State of Play. It was apparently 22 minutes long.
And they showed a new IP from Capcom called Exoprimal, which seems to have dinosaurs.
But it's not Dino Crisis.
But it's not Dino Crisis.
It's a new IP.
That's such a hilarious and mean slap in the face to Dino Crisis fans.
don't know. I'm looking at pictures of this, so I can't tell what type of game this is, but I'm seeing 4 characters, so I wonder if it's like a co-op game. Who knows? Not me. Then they showed more Ghost Warrior Tokyo. I'm looking forward to getting that game. That looks like cool and weird.
They also said Stranger Paradise is out soon.
It's out March 18th, and you get a new demo today.
Yay.
Cool.
They showed another...
Some people are super hyped about that game.
Yeah, I would not pay full price for it. They showed more Forspoken, which was delayed from May till October, which is a pity, but...
They did that thing where they were like, this is the start of a massive new media franchise.
Oh,
and it's
no.
like, don't say that. Just make this one good. Just make this one good.
That's not what you want to hear at all.
No.
And they had another look at Gundam Evolution. It's getting a network test soon. Then they showed the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Kawabunga collection.
Oh yeah, it's the Konami games.
Mm-hmm. Some other stuff I don't care about. And a new JoJo fighting game, All-Star Battle R
What?
announced. Yeah.
Okay.
50 playable characters. It seems to be like an addition to All-Star Battle. Like a
Interesting.
plus version.
Okay.
I hope more Part 8 guys are in it.
Returnal is getting a expansion called Ascension. It's a free update. It's co-op. New survival mode. Looks pretty cool. I would like to play Returnal someday. And okay, this is for Niamh. New tactics game by Square Enix. The Diofield Chronicle? Okay. It's looking a little grey, but I like this character art. Okay, this is a game. Ooh, I like that shot. It looks like a little miniature town.
Let's see, Niamh. Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So
I will
this
be
is
playing
making
that.
thrilling podcast listening, but yeah, this all looks great.
Yeah, a tactics game for Niamh, and a new Valkyrie game, Valkyrie Elysium. Okay, 2022. Niamh will play that too.
Niamh likey is what she used.
She does. She's salivating. It's getting a bit intense here.
And that was the state of play.
That was the state of play, and this is emails.
Okay. Do you want to do one email?
Yeah, let's do one email. We're
Okay.
tired.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of Elden Ring to play.
Okay, I got one here from Ben, and it's art books and audiobooks. Hey there, Boss Cass. I was listening to an old episode where you guys talked about some of your favorite art books and audiobooks, and I was wondering if you could give us an update on your favorites from the last few years. I think we did this in like 2018, maybe.
Man.
Ben here says, I myself recently got the Cuphead and Breath of the Wild art books.
Oh, I have that Cuphead one. It's beautiful.
Fantastic. With audiobooks, Sandman and Dune. Anyway, keep up the good work from Ben. Off the top of my head, Niamh last year, maybe the year before, gave me a Christmas present of a video game map art book.
Oh, yes.
I can't remember the name of it. I'm going to find out the name. But it's very good. It has Bloodborne in it, which is all I need. Virtual cities, an atlas, and exploration of video game cities.
So they got different maps from different video game worlds and presented them nicely to you.
That's such a perfect Bryan present.
Very, very good blueprints.
Mm-hmm. It was one of those books that you had to fund, and once I saw it, I was just like, I will fund this to give to Bryan.
What's the thing called again?
I can't remember.
Unbound?
Yes, Unbound.
Yeah, they're very
They
good.
do book funding.
Yeah. Don't want to tell everyone about that book on the plays.
Oh yeah, that isn't an art
Do you
book
want to tell
though.
everyone about that book?
That
I
isn't
bought you?
that isn't an
Yeah.
art book, but like that is a cool book. Yeah, Bryan got me a book on like Irish theater design, like set design, and it's like a book I never knew existed, and there's like insane theater just setups that we had that I never knew. It's like this real rich history. It feels like an archival book of like insider theater
It also
knowledge.
feels like one of those books that's like, oh, there's like 20 versions of this.
Yeah. So that was really cool. But in terms of like art books, I can't really think of any that I've gotten recently. I got the Brigadine special edition, and that came with a little art book that I thought was pretty good.
How about like with vinyl and the kind of the covers, and sometimes it comes with like supplementals, anything like that?
Oh man.
Like
Vinyl doesn't tend to, at least any of the vinyl I got, it doesn't come with that many supplementals. It has lovely vinyl art.
I know your Mystical Ninja one, John. Does that
The Mystical Ninja one is beautiful. That's really nice. My the Undertale one is like amazing because it's eight vinyl discs or something, and they all have like unique artwork that like I've never seen anywhere else, and it's like the most incredible artwork. Niamh got me the Silent Hill 2 vinyl. Niamh's very good at presents.
Yeah.
She got me the Silent Hill 2 vinyl one year, and that is like, there's not a ton of artwork in it, but it's beautiful, and the vinyls are the color of like Silent Hill mist. Like, they're not completely opaque. They're so cool. In terms of good books I read 100 Years a Slave or 100 Years of Solitude recently.
That's a great book.
Which is like, that's a fucking mad book. It was written in 1967, and it's about like a fictional South American village, and it's just about like that village over the course of 100 years and this kind of like family that not rules it, but like they're like the central family in the village, and just really weird, really fascinating. I'm reading a book on nutrition at the moment, which is really boring but very informative, and that's pretty okay. That's pretty good. Matthew McConaughey's autobiography is an audiobook I listened to recently.
It's a weird one.
Yeah, I still don't quite understand how I got there. But that dude can really tell a story. It's very funny. I do think maybe 1/3 of it isn't true, but that's okay. It's all fun. I'm also reading Nick Offerman's book.
How to Build Your Own Canoe.
How to Build Your Own Canoe.
There's a really good chapter in that where he talks about the Nickelodeon show Kablam.
Oh, I love that show.
Because his first Hollywood job was... he was like a set builder for Kablam, and then occasionally they would need like, because you know the way Kablam was mixed media, and sometimes they would have live action bits.
Yeah.
Nick Offerman looks the way he looks, and sometimes they would need like a cowboy or, you know, a pirate, or they would need some sort of mustache man, and he would fill that role.
Brilliant.
And the bits as well where he talks about being an extra in Deadwood and how much he loves Deadwood is very cute.
I'm also reading Junji Ito's newest one, Deserter, and it's like all his early comics, and they're great. I really thought that they'd have like a lot of clumsiness, you know, the way like a lot of really early creator stuff does, but no, these are horrifying. They're brilliant. They're way better than some of his most recent stuff.
A book I read recently was Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, and that was a really, really good audiobook. Really great performance. It's like a mystery about a guy who is lost in a castle. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's another world. And the tide keeps coming in, and there's birds in the house, and he's missing, and he only knows one other man. And there's a box full of bones. It's a brilliant mystery book that also makes you glad to be alive, but also very scared.
When you say birds, Niamh, like, you don't mean like giant birds wearing like clothes and stuff, do you?
No.
Okay. But it's still cool though.
It's a very good book. I'm describing it badly because I'm tired.
Yeah. Getting sleepy.
Yeah. But just before we go to sleep, remember, it's askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
That's askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
I'm going to say no. I only want good emails, okay?
Only good emails this week.
Yeah. I don't want any shit ones.
Patreon shoutouts.
These certainly aren't shit ones. These are shoutouts.
No, these are, I'm gonna say, these are the good ones.
Yeah. Patreon.com/LFAB. We have perks, including a Discord.
Okay, I have thought up a new way to sell it. Now, Niamh.
Sorry, I read the name of the first person.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Anyway,
I picture a name for that one.
So, say you have to go to like a wedding of someone you don't really like, and you want to send a message of like, I don't really want to be here, but I'm here and I've done the bare minimum. What is the most passive-aggressive gift you could get them? I think a year's subscription to a video game podcast they've never heard of.
That's a good
Won't that really send like a, what?
Yeah.
So if you want to spike gift someone,
If you want to spike gift someone, and like maybe there's like a 10% chance they actually get into the podcast, in which case it's a wonderful gift because this is the world's strongest video game podcast. But a 90%, hey, we're not like close. And sometimes you need a gift that says that.
and remember that I'm here.
Brian?
No,
Niamh.
Niamh's reading the first one.
Okay, these are our Patreon shout-outs. If you join our Patreon, you get to make us say things. This one is from Moist Nappy.
No, Moist.
Oh shit, Moist Pappy.
Niamh!
She thought it was Moist Nappy.
I'm
No, it's a pappy.
dyslexic. I'm a huge fan of the show. I oscillate when I'm turned on, and nothing gets me going more than the world's strongest video game podcast.
So this was left 2 years ago, and do you think the person has advanced enough in age that they're now ashamed of that?
Oh, I wouldn't be.
No.
This one is from Cogzilla of the Nameless. It's a little collection of
Shut up, come on, say the thing.
Do you know that did you know that strongest backwards is Sennorts?
This one is from Nameless Jodio. In brackets, insert Patreon shout out here. There you go, buddy.
This one's from Kyle. Hooray for free money letting me get a shout out. Is this how this works? ?
Yeah, free.
Yes.
Then this one is from Fuckass Deku, a Scrub Reborn.
Okay, don't read this shit. I don't want to fucking hear from this person.
Nah, he's alright.
He's not alright, Brian.
He's laughing right now.
Yeah, whatever.
Deku, I know you're doing your fucking maintenance work and you're having a little giggle to yourself, you little bollocks.
Deku, don't ever at me on that Discord ever again.
Join the LFAB Discord and see pictures of cute pets in your area for free.
It's true.
He's not wrong.
Oh man, this is a blast from the past. This is from Simvago. The time of the Dark Prince is upon us. Be patient, my comrades. Can you remember when I did that silly Dark Prince thing? How times have changed.
I think I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't that memorable.
No. It's like a boring wrestling match.
I found myself and became something more.
I'm going to upload a picture of my dog to the pet Discord right now.
Loot drop.
We got some stuff from the internet to show you.
Brian, would you like to go first?
At the time of this episode being released, St. Patrick's Day is almost upon us. I usually have a tradition. Every March I will loot drop something Irish. And this year I am loot dropping 3 songs from a children's singer-songwriter known as Richie Kavanagh. He is, I guess, a Muck Savage version of like Mr. Rogers. Is that how you describe him?
I don't know if you could describe Richie Kavanagh to someone who isn't Irish.
Yeah.
Because he's so like quintessentially like Irish.
Okay, at the ploughing championships he is there in person and he's dressed like a clown without makeup.
I've met him multiple times. I go to the ploughing championships regularly. Like there's a lot of dead mice all around.
Fuck, Ireland's such a nightmare sometimes.
He's from Carlow.
Yeah, he is. But Richie Kavanagh makes songs for children. He's incredibly scary. And
No, he's not.
I've got 3 songs here. I've got Me School Bag Is Too Heavy.
It's about your school bag when it's too heavy. It's very relatable.
And in this, he's a giant boy. And he actually kind of looks like me if like my stats went in different directions. And he's always wearing the white gloves.
Yeah.
But I think he wears them for medical reasons.
He has Parkinson's.
Yeah.
So maybe it was that, but also maybe he was like, I'm a Mickey Mouse style character. Who's to say?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to play the music, but now an ad is playing and I've ruined Loot Drop.
No, go on, play it.
So you can do it. I like his song about going up the road because it's about how the county council are useless. Because it's like what goes up the road and down the road and does nothing to the road.
Niamh's fucking delighted.
All the songs are 3 minutes long and they're all bops.
Yeah. They are.
And like the music videos for these are so charming and they were filmed in the 90s, but they've been like converted and uploaded to YouTube and they have scan lines on them. It's good stuff.
He kind of looks like a clown that I feel is going to tell me about how I shouldn't do drugs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed a song here called Ballinspittle, which is a town between Kinsale and Kilkenny, or not Kilkenny, Clonakilty, and there is a statue of the Virgin Mary there that is reported to have moved once. And
I once spent 40 minutes staring at that statue,
Yeah.
and I swore blind it moved, but in hindsight, I think I was an idiot child.
Anyway, the song is in capitals Ballinspittle, and it's about that, and it's him and an older woman on their Catholic pilgrimage. Then I have, and it's my favorite, I Love the Smell of Silage, and it's a straight up ploughing farming song, and it's just about a silage, and it's laying it down for the farming for the season, and it smells lovely. It doesn't, it's slurry, but you know. Richie Kavanagh, I think if you're not from Ireland, you need to understand what it means to be exposed to Richie
Genuine
Kavanagh.
celebrity when we were younger.
Yeah.
My
Big Irish head on him.
big Irish head on him. My loot drop is from Lady Emily. It's a video she put out, kind of covering like the history of the angry video game nerd and kind of some of the community backlash against them. And it's a really interesting video. Like normally, I'm not a huge fan of like videos about other YouTubers because they scare me. But I think what was really fascinating about this one to me is it gets into the sort of really the kind of territory of weird anti-fans who have kind of made it their identity that they don't like this person or this channel anymore. And it was really interesting, and it's like I feel like it scrapes into this weird corner of the internet where it's like, what are we doing? Like what is the point in this? And I just found it really fascinating. Lady Emily's very good.
Mine is Relax Your Dog TV. 8 hours of relaxing TV for dogs at the Babbling Brook.
I feel like these 3 loot drops are real all across the map. You know what I mean?
So this is like TV you put on for your dog to relax when you leave. But honestly, I find it relaxing. So I put it on for my dog and I went, wait, this is too good for you. And now I've been watching them.
Dash, leave the room.
Those are good videos. We usually put one on for cats at Christmas, and it's just 8 hours of birds at a bird feed.
Yeah.
And the cats go fucking insane.
So this is like great. It's like a camera left at a river, and it's just like ducks like hopping into the river, maybe searching around the stones for some food. Like there's some songbirds appear. Like it's literally a nature trail camera that is, I don't know, for some reason for dogs. The people like it too. It's we can like it.
Does Dash like it though?
I don't think he cares. We usually put on
He's
like
like
2FM for him.
He's like, Niamh, this is dumb.
He just really likes
This is
it.
fucking dumb, Niamh.
Yeah, I was just like, no, this is for you. But yeah, if you want to see like a nature trail cam video that goes on for 8 hours while you're working to put on in the background, here you go. This one has ducks.
Cool.
And then one more loot drop is the itch.io bundle that is supporting Ukraine at the moment. There's like 1,000 games, is there?
Yeah, around that.
Absolutely got to check that one out.
Yeah, and you know, like we know we have like listeners in Ukraine, and just anyone like affected by that war. Like, it's hard because like obviously there's nothing we as a fucking video game podcast can do meaningfully about it. But we hope you're safe. We hope you're okay. It's like an impossible subject, but it would just, in a way, it would feel weird not to say anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's gonna do it for this episode of Let's Fight a Boss. Everyone take care of yourselves, okay?
Stay safe.
Stay gaming.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, sure.